Yo, how did I not know about this one?
Hi, you want to be a judge?
Sure.
Cause I don't think I'm gonna find my other judges. Um,
Okay.
I'm just eating right now.
Um, I will warn you, like, I'm on call right now. But it should be pretty slow night, so.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be in like 8 o'clock, so you got like 40 minutes. But I'm eating right now. I
Oh,
had some
gotcha.
judges, but I haven't heard from them.
What are you eating for dinner?
I'm just eating some meat, some chicken for my wife.
Hey, I made myself a steak tonight.
Oh, nice,
Yeah, it was pretty good. I had some eggs on top of it. Nice little filet mignon kind of thing.
nice.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, that upset chicken down there.
That's funny. Yeah, I've been focusing on my intake of calories while eating things that are high in protein, carbs, and fiber.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Good, that's good. Good for your health. Good.
Hmm.
Hopefully, there won't be another crash out today. There, I modded you, chicken. Represent me in room well.
Bt3's got another formal against Wolfgang.
Yeah, he's the best debater in the app.
Bt3?
Yes.
I don't know about that. Has he gotten better though?
There's no room for improvement because he's the best. If you're tuning in, it starts at 8. I'm gonna go live to get everything set up.
What's up, man? How you guys doing?
Hello, how are you?
Wait, Protect, how am I not a fucking mod, bro?
I took them away because of the last conversation. Before the debacle happened, to make it
Wait,
fair.
the last debate.
Yeah.
That's fair. Honestly, with how many times you host my debates, I don't. It's fine. I don't need mods. I don't
He's a
want.
mod too.
I
I
don't.
Yeah.
did his mod powers too. He was a mod too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want people to. I'm not gonna name names, but I don't want to give any more fuel for excuses. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. A lot of
Do you think
people.
that the 200,000 babies who were killed and got dissected into each limb, it was that okay?
I think that's a sad thing, and I think it was morally impermissible.
Talking about abortion, yeah, that's wrong. Evil.
Do I think that we should like ban
Abortion's wrong.
abortions? Do I think that we should like ban abortions? Not necessarily.
Why?
Yeah, because I think that like liberty is also something that we should prioritize in society, and if there's going to be actions in which we take to legislate against preventing something that crosses the boundaries of like one's liberties, then we probably shouldn't do that action.
Why are liberties good for America?
Like for instance, it prevents us from having our stuff stolen, having us get murdered. These that's why liberties are important. The ability to be able to own property. Like, yeah, that's why liberties are important, bro.
Well, it really shouldn't be prioritized, especially in the amount of people who use freedom as an answer to do those things you were talking about you guys are protected from.
Yeah, what do you mean? Oh, yeah, mermaid. I did say Schmurder.
What happened to that guy?
No idea, but I mean, um, yeah. I want to debate mermaid. I wonder if mermaid would have a formal 1v1 with me.
That'd be a sight to see, but mermaids. She's not gonna do that. She always runs away from me when we play Call of Duty. I have to carry her in her back.
I bet.
I was cooking in Call of Duty, and like she uses like a melee only loadout, and well, she's a disaster. Not gonna lie. You said that the last 3 times. Oh, Chicken made this loadout courtesy of Chicken. Thank you. Yeah. Hopefully, it's actually a calm debate. We have 2 relatively calm contestants, so yeah.
I don't know. I think the not calm debates are more exciting to watch, though.
Maybe for you, but not for me. Who I'm not on my panel.
People love rhetoric, bro.
Some people do, like the KG clan.
They overdo the rhetoric. I'm saying people like some rhetoric.
Yeah, that's fine. I get that.
Like my level of rhetoric is completely fine.
I didn't even know you do rhetoric. I didn't even know.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't really do rhetoric. I might say something like quick here and there just to get the conversation back on. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I don't really even use rhetoric.
Oh, so you think it should be like subtle? I get what you mean.
Yeah, like very subtle.
Yeah.
Like something funny, like the Bofa fallacy. You
The what? The who?
know what the Bofa fallacy is?
No, I don't. It's my first time.
Both of these nuts in your mouth.
Oh, oh my gosh! That I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, you really didn't, dude.
Yeah,
It's kind of like it's kind of like the Dragon D's fallacy.
yeah, I get it. I
Yeah,
see stand up comedy in your future.
thank you.
Yeah.
Do you know what the Socrates fallacy is, though?
No, I already know.
Your Socrates dick.
Okay. Maybe I should have a comedy night live. Who knows?
You should do karaoke.
I was thinking about that. Yeah. Um, that'd be pretty lit.
I do sea shanties all the time when there's karaoke.
Who? What's that?
Sea shanties?
Yeah, it better not be something
Like
sus.
no, like the Wellerman.
Who?
Soon may the Wellerman come to bring
Oh,
the
I know that
sugar and
song.
tea
Oh
to
yeah,
the
I know
drums.
that song. Yes.
Yeah, like songs like that. Sea shanties.
Oh, I see. That's pretty. That's pretty cool. I might, if I do it, I might do "End of the Road." That's a definite song I would totally do for karaoke.
Heck yeah. I like doing War Pigs too.
War Pigs.
But Black Sabbath?
Oh, okay. It's Misty. How you doing, Misty?
Greetings, Misty.
Misty, would you like to be a judge? Misty is coming up. Hi, Misty.
Genesis, are you really here for this foolishness?
Of course, I want to support my friends.
Oh my God, Genesis, you are my problem child. I'm gonna get the belt to you.
You know what? You're like the mother I never had, and I appreciate it.
You are my problem child.
What am I, Misty?
The troll that lives under the bridge with
Me,
the
me
multicolored fan.
personally, me personally, I love abortion. I think it's one of the best things that has ever commenced on planet Earth.
Yeah, what's the argument for that?
So my argument for abortion is honestly, it just really helps boost bot. Oh, did somebody mute me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it said somebody muted me. A good argument to like rebuttal your claim about is it immoral or wait, could I just ask where you stand on it real quick? I didn't even get to
Yeah.
ask you that.
Immoral. Yes, immoral. This is.
You think it's immoral? Okay.
Yeah. Posting
Do you think it's murder? Do you classify it as murder?
Oh, I don't know what you mean by schmurder. If you mean by like an unjustified unaliving, then sure.
Yeah, so what about the justified unaliving?
Well, you have to give an example how it is justified.
If you have a this happens. This doesn't happen often, but there is definitely cases. If you have a 13-year-old girl, who is able to reproduce, and she gets essayed by a family member or just by anyone in general, she becomes impregnated and she has to carry that baby to term. Do you think that an abortion would be justified in that situation?
Sure.
Okay. So where I'm getting with you is that you feel like that if you're voluntarily opening yourself up and putting yourself out there, then it's immoral.
You can hold different types of arguments. Like they can say, like if it's put, like if the entity was put in like some kind of state of dependency, then the obligation would persist with like the state of dependency. Or they can just like take like some kind of argument, like the image of God arguments, and then like tie it in with like the just God. The fact that like the actions can be justified or not justified. So this would be something in which the child would not have an obligation to do.
Yeah, so still what I'm trying to get at is that, like, would you still hold that same standard to somebody who is above the age of 18 and above an adolescent? So say you have a 21-year-old woman who is forcefully...
Somebody could still hold that argument because they wouldn't be put in that state of dependency.
Yeah, so like where I'm getting at is that you, to me, sound like you're more of like a pro-circumstance.
What do you mean by pro-circumstance?
So what I mean by pro-circumstance is that your opinion basically alters depending on the circumstance or situation of said topic. So if you have a
I mean, it sounds like you're asking like a meta-ethical question here. Like, are you like saying that like the ethical framework in which like I work under is going to be arbitrary and not have like any kind of set groundings? Otherwise, that would be just like completely false. I gave you the criteria in which something would be permissible or not permissible, and that's going to be
I'm trying to
whether
say
or
is
not
that
whether or not the action is going to be placing the entity in the state of dependency.
what I'm trying to say is that like you seem to have like your opinion just like, because I don't know if it was the host that was talking or who it was talking when they said it would be permissible for a 13-year-old to get one if she was
That was
unconsensually.
him. That was
That
him.
Who's him?
Genesis.
Genesis.
Yeah, that's who that's who I'm talking to.
I'm him. Sorry.
Wait, so oh my gosh, I thought I was talking to one person.
Talking to the collective.
Which one is that?
We share one mind.
Oh,
Yeah,
so you
we're
guys are
talking to
both you guys
Genesis.
both have the same opinion. That's like
No.
No,
Talking
no,
to
definitely not.
so which one's pro-life and which one's pro-choice?
Well, I usually don't even know Genesis' stance, but
I don't even know Protect's stance. I'm just saying that like somebody could hold the argument like the fact that this entity is put in a state of dependency, and if this entity is put in a state of dependency, then the obligation would persist that she cannot abort
Yeah,
the fetus.
but when
However,
I'm getting to the
in this
moral part,
hypothetical, yeah, but since you stipulated like this child was going to be raped or this entity was raped, and therefore the child was not put in a state of dependency because of her actions. Then I would say that the obligation does not persist within the mother to sustain pregnancy.
so that's pro-circumstance.
Again, what do you mean by circumstance?
No.
Yeah, what do you mean no?
I mean, it's not going to be pro-circumstance.
That's
It's
pro-circumstance.
going to be pro-causal. That's literally what it is. It's just
Dude,
causal.
Exactly.
Dude, circumstances and causes. A circumstance is a circumstance. In whatever situation you're in, that to me, like you just sound like that's where your argument goes
Wait,
towards.
so when it comes to murder or like unaliving someone, am I only pro-circumstance than that too? Because I understand that there's going to be times in which unaliving someone is going to be justified.
Yeah.
Am I pro-circumstance for that too?
I mean, personally, I'm pro-circumstance for that.
Okay, so am I pro-circumstance whether or not somebody's been raped?
Can you elaborate? I didn't really.
So for instance, like if I just take the case that like somebody had sex with another person, right? But then it's only going to be grape if they consent, if they did not consent to it and they continue the action of like sex. I'm still pro-circumstance.
Well, there's a legitimate definition of grape, so there's really no kind of in between.
Well, there's a legitimate definition of abortion as well. I mean, I could say like abortion could be like
the termination of a
intentional
fetus.
unalivement of a fetus.
The termination of a
pregnancy.
fetus is abortion.
I mean, That depends. Why I should accept your definition over my definition?
It's a textbook definition. I can give you a source for
It's a
that if you want.
textbook, so this is just going to be appeal to definition then.
It's a
You don't have like
liable
an actual
definition. Do you want a
argument why I
source?
should
Do you want a
accept your.
source?
You don't actually have an argument why I should accept your definition over mine.
Do you want a source or no? I'm
I
asking.
mean,
if you want a
I can
source.
pull my definition from a source as well.
I'm literally just asking you if you want a source. It's a yes or no
Yeah,
question.
I don't really care. I'm wondering why it is the case I should accept your definition.
Because it's a reliable textbook source.
Yeah, how do you know it's a reliable textbook source?
Because I have the URL and it's most definitely reliable.
I found it online, therefore it must be true, right?
That's why I said useful URL, and that's why it's reliable. Keyword reliable.
How do you know it's reliable then?
Because it's in an Oxford dictionary. That's reliable.
Okay. Do you know anything about like etymology or anything like that?
If you want to inform me, that'd be cool. But no, not.
Wow. Okay. It's just like how we come like two different words, and then also like the definitions behind the words. You understand like within like different circumstances, there's going to be different definitions, like the same word.
Yes, but now I feel like that we're shifting off topic.
Sure. Let's get back to abortion. Now, can you tell me how it's going to be the case that I'm pro-circumstance instead of pro-life?
Yeah, so pro-circumstance, again, what I'm saying is that in your opinion, I assume that you think that schmurder is still schmurder regardless of the circumstance, but you have exceptions.
I wouldn't necessarily have to say that it's going to be schmurder.
So I'm just really confused as to where you stand right now, because like I feel like you're just like either rage baiting or you're contradicting yourself.
I don't see why it's necessary to determine whether or not it's going to be schmurder if I'm already saying that a mother probably shouldn't do an action of unaliving a living entity, even if they think it's justified.
So do you think, like, when you say living entity, you know that like fetuses in the womb, like in the first trimester, they have the sentience of a plant. Do you think that me taking a plant and like ripping it and throwing it out, like, is that like schmurdering the plant because it's a living entity and it still has the same sentience as a fetus in the first trimester of pregnancy?
Probably not. No.
So that's not schmurder, but doing it.
No.
To it.
I mean, I can even take the stance that abortion is a spreader, but we still probably shouldn't do it. We probably still shouldn't abort children.
But what if it's not a child yet? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Okay,
again,
so what is your definition
Do you
of
think that unplugging a brain dead patient from a ventilator and life support is murder?
They're dead.
So do you think that's
I don't
murder?
think that's murder. I don't see how this is analogous because it's already granted to you that
so the
abortion
analogy,
is not murder.
the analogy of what I'm trying to get at is that
how is this analogous?
Why do you keep bringing up?
Why do you keep bringing up murder though? I already granted to you that abortion is not murder.
I thought you just said it was literally 2 minutes ago.
No, I said I can grant to you that it's not murder.
No, he never said that.
Dude, is nobody else confused as to where these, like, I don't know if I'm tripping or if you guys are just like rage baiting.
Can I explain it to her, Genesis?
She's having a hard time tracking, yeah.
I'm having a hard time tracking.
So what he is saying, okay, this is Misty, and I'm just going to break down what he's trying to say. He's saying that, right, abortion would not be the right thing to do, right, in the case of the majority, healthy mom, healthy baby, and consensual schmecks.
Okay,
so
I agree with that.
He would find abortion morally impermissible in these cases. So but in the case of a child who can't consent, who got raped, or a woman who got raped, right, he would say that the abortion would be permissible because she didn't do an action to put herself in this position.
That is literally what pro-circumstance is.
I mean, if we're talking about colloquially, I still don't understand where pro-circumstance comes from. Because, like, if pro-life is going to be preserving the life of individuals, I would say, like, our argument correctly follows. But I don't know why you're caught up on this semantical difference. If you are, in fact, pro-choice, and you're trying to say people should be pro-choice, and I give you an argument into which why we shouldn't unalive children or fetuses.
Also, SA is definitely a reason to abort for Elizabeth Chat. Sorry, I just had to mention that. That's ridiculous.
I already granted that. So
yeah, no, I was just addressing the comments because that's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. So do you have any other critiques or?
Yeah. So again, like what we were saying previously is when you were saying that it's still a life being terminated, which is what you just told me, correct?
Sure, but I wouldn't say it's murder.
I didn't say you're like saying it's because murder is the unjustified termination of a human life.
Yeah.
Was that
I would
necessary?
say like you're ending a life. I would say that. Yeah, sure.
No,
You're
it's
ending a
the
life.
unjustified termination of a human life.
Murder is the unjustified, yes, but I'm not saying that abortion is murder. Just for the sake of
I
the
know.
argument,
You
go
said that
forward.
like 3 times. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm grateful you cleared that up.
Mhm.
But do you like what I'm trying to get at is that, like, to me it sounds like that you're saying that it's like it's abortion is good, but also it's bad depending on what situation you're in. That
Nope.
is pro
Nope.
circumstance.
I don't think abortion is good in any sense. I wouldn't want a child to get an abortion because they were raped. But if that is her choice, then I would respect it. I would understand that it
So
is
you respect
justified.
you respect bodily autonomy.
Not necessarily, no.
Oh, that's a pretty broad statement. So you don't respect bodily autonomy.
Depends on what you mean by respect.
If a woman is pregnant and she doesn't want to be a mother, that's her choice and that's how she wants to perceive herself. You don't respect that?
I would say like bodily autonomy doesn't necessarily supersede the right to life.
Bodily autonomy is how you live with yourself and how you basically
Yeah. So, would you agree that in order to like distinguish what is moral or what is immoral, rationality has to be present?
Can you repeat that? Sorry, you cut out. I
Yeah.
heard
Would you?
immoral. That's all I
Mhm.
heard.
Would you agree that in order to distinguish what is moral, what is immoral, rationality has to be present?
What do you mean by rationality?
The way that we perceive reality or interpret reality.
I mean that question doesn't really make any sense to me. I'm not getting it.
Ooh, you don't understand. Okay, rationality is the ability to
Yeah, but I don't get how you're
interpret
using the word rationality in this statement.
rationality. Okay, so rationality is pertaining to the descriptive action one takes to perceive reality.
Yes, I get what rationality means. I understand that, but I'm confused as to why you're using it in this statement, as it really makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, so like when we're talking about rights and things like this, these are like these are going to be pertaining to like a moral obligation or like some kind of moral duty that somebody has, right?
It's not like a duty to abort. It's
Right, I said obligation or duty. I wouldn't necessarily say like if you're saying like somebody has like the right to bodily autonomy, this would be like a negative right.
everybody has the right to bodily autonomy. It's not like it's
Right.
not just like a what if. It's not like a rhetorical question
Yeah,
or a
I'm
rhetorical
I'm not
statement.
questioning whether or not somebody has the right to bodily autonomy. I'm questioning whether or not somebody has the right to somebody's body autonomy supersedes the right to life.
Like, does that overpower the right to life? Is what you're asking? 100%. Yeah.
Okay, so how can you have bodily autonomy without having life?
That's not. It's not a life that pertains to you. Therefore, it's not your life, so you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, so because it's not my life, I don't have to worry about it. So if I see somebody like walking down the street and they're like getting raped, I should just walk right past them because
Well, I mean, you should definitely feel some sort of like concern, or you should feel
Why?
some sort of tension.
Why?
I mean, that's just normal human emotions. Feel some tension and be like, "Oh, this situation's wrong," and you could take it upon yourself to go and help out, but you as a person are not obligated, and you're not obligated to go over and worry about that person.
Okay, so why is there a societal obligation for like law enforcement officers to enforce the law then?
What do you mean, officer? Like, can you kind of dumb that down a little bit for me?
Yeah, so why do police officers enforce the law?
That's their job.
Yeah,
When they become police officers, they sign a contract that they are obligated to enforce the laws. That's
yeah,
what they're
why?
getting paid to do.
Why is it just because they signed some like magical paper that they're obligated to do so?
It's
Like
not a
why?
magical paper. It's more of
Okay, is
what
it
you do to
necessary?
work.
Is it necessary for society to have these like systems in place in which enforces these laws and rights?
Systems as in like social norms, as in like what do you mean by
Systems
systems?
as in like functioning facilities in which protects or upholds individuals' rights.
So the law, which is
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
and can you repeat the question one more time?
Okay, I'll make it super
Like if you can make it
basic.
short, I have a really
Yes.
I can't like remember first from start. If you can make it really short.
Is it necessary for society to implicate some kind of legal structure?
Is it necessary? No.
It's not necessary. So a
No, I mean,
society
I
can.
think it's
So
I
a
think it's a
society
good.
could thrive. Do you think a society can thrive without any kind of like laws?
So I don't think a society could thrive, but I think a society could definitely live. Without.
Okay, wait. What do you take thriving to be?
So thriving and living are not the same thing, meaning that thriving is flourishing. Thriving is being able to actually like just like like being able to like I don't really know how to explain it without using the word flourish. If you kind of get what I mean when I say flourish, not like
Yeah. What do you mean
bloom,
by flourishing?
like be able to like you say you're using like bloom as an adjective to describe someone who is just being able to live their life. Like thriving is blooming, living is just there.
Just being okay.
So
What does it mean to live life?
so to live life is you're just completing, you're doing the process, and you are completing the process of just breathing and living life.
Okay, so if I
But
just
that's
like do
not
nothing
thriving.
but
So a homeless person, would you consider
so
a
hold on.
homeless person on the side of the street to be considered thriving or living?
It depends on what's like on your definition of thriving. Then no, I wouldn't say that they're thriving. But I mean,
Correct.
I don't think that's I don't think it's intuitive to say that just because I'm sitting here, this necessarily means that I'm living life.
Yeah, you're living life. You don't seem to be thriving right now.
Do you think that if I just continue to like sit here, this will allow me to continue to live, or
Yeah,
is there going to
you're
be
living, but
actions
you're
in
not
which
thriving at the moment.
is there going to be actions which I can is there going to be actions which I'd have to take to sustain my life?
There could be actions in which you have to take to kind of reach up to the point of thriving, but no, you don't have to
Well,
really.
what kind of actions? What kind of actions would
So
those be?
thriving, like, do you have like what? Do you have a roof over your head?
Yeah, I would say I would have a roof over my head. Sure.
You have walls that protect you. You have food. Or you're able to use the bathroom. That stuff is thriving. Like you're thriving
Yeah,
in
but I
life.
wouldn't be
But
able to
when
thrive
you're
without living life.
so here, but what I'm confused is what if there's like a homeless person living in cardboard boxes on the side of the road? They're thriving.
Sure.
Like that's an absurd.
Wait,
Like wait,
wait a minute. Is thriving objective or subjective? What if a person in that situation thinks that they're thriving?
that's not. It's not a personal opinion.
Wait,
It's not a personal opinion.
what's the
Whether
argument for
you're
that?
thriving or not is not a
Okay,
personal
what do you take?
opinion. It's not up for
Okay, so
debate.
then what do you take thriving to be then? Like just
Thriving, you're either thriving or you're not.
you're just thriving or not. That doesn't tell me what thriving is.
Thriving is again flourishing and being
Yeah, what
able
is
to.
flourishing?
I feel like you know what I mean, and it's really hard for me to explain it, but like I know you know what I mean. You're just
I
trying to
don't
act
actually.
like
That's what I'm
ignorant.
asking.
You know what I mean. If you don't,
No, I don't. I mean, I would say like thriving would be like maybe pertaining to like actions in which lead to a
oh wait,
better
so listen, here's a
outcome.
good example. Here's a good example.
Hmm.
Think of an animal shelter. You have a dog locked up in a crate 24 hours a day, 40
Yeah.
like 7 days a week, and then you have a dog at somebody's house who gets to run around in a big yard, has all these toys to play with, has family, friends. Which one's thriving and which one's just living?
I mean, you can both say that both are thriving. Like I said, this is why it depends on what you mean by thriving. If you mean like thriving or flourishing, as in like actions in which lead to a better outcome than what is currently persisting in, then I would say, okay, yeah, I can agree with this. That there's going to be a difference between like
That's
just
the
living
point. That's
life
what I'm
and
trying to get
thriving.
out. Like thriving and living are two different things.
Okay. Now, do you think that we should take actions in which result in us thriving, or do you think that we shouldn't take actions?
I think if you are financially, emotionally, mentally able to support yourself in thriving, I think everybody should take that step in trying to thrive. Because living does not mean you're happy.
Sure, I don't. I mean, that's not really what's in question here. What's in question is whether or not we should take actions in which lead us to
If you're
thrive.
able to, 100%.
Okay,
Baby
so
does it.
if somebody is not able to, do you think that this thing is just automatically like have zero value? If they just not don't possess the current capacity to make themselves thrive?
If they're not a constructive member to society and they're not helping the world as a whole, meaning whatever is getting aborted, no, they don't
Oh,
really.
interesting. So, like a 2-year-old that doesn't like bring anything to society, it's fine to just punt that thing across the room.
I mean, they're bringing population, but it's like if they cannot
Wait.
physically
What do you mean by
have.
bringing population?
When I'm saying like bringing population, like if they're bringing their parents in money, for example, like When you have kids, your family's bringing in money from those kids.
How so?
I'm not exactly sure how, but like I know I read something on it. So it's kind of like a trust me bro
Why would
source.
you make that claim? What the heck?
No, but it's like a trust me bro source. Like that's
Well, okay,
what
that's
that
fine.
is.
Let's say granted. Let's just say like I stipulate that there's like some society out there where like they don't receive any kind of like benefits from like a 2-year-old or having like a 2-year-old child. Would it be permissible for those parents to like use that 2-year-old child as like a hacky sack then, because it doesn't bring anything of
I mean, if
substance to
that's
society?
what they feel that they're morally obligated to do, I don't see an issue in
No,
that.
I'm not asking if they're morally
That's the
obligated to do
reductio.
so. I'm asking you if it's morally permissible for the parents to take this action.
I mean, sure, I don't see a problem in that.
You don't see a problem with them playing hacky sack with a 2-year-old?
No, if the 2-year-old is not implementing anything or bringing anything to society, I don't see an issue in that. Just
Yeah,
like, for
that's the
example,
reductio. Get out of here. We're gonna have a debate in like 5 minutes. That's the reductio.
Wow.
We're just gonna
What?
move on.
Okay, move on then. You're dodging. You're literally
You
dodging.
just died on. That's the reductio. You just died on the hill. Like
You just dodged. You're literally about to take me down because you just dodged.
No,
No,
have
you
a debate.
just said that we could use a 2-year-old, okay?
Yeah, if they're not implementing anything to society, sure.
Yeah, but do you not understand that 2-year-old children in general are just dependent by virtue of being a child, and
But they're
that
still,
as
like, to you guys, like,
adults
they're still productive members of society, correct? So, like, in my opinion,
No,
again,
they're
like, if you
not.
see a homeless person
no,
on the
I
side of the
never
road,
said they were
That's
productive
regardless.
members
dude,
of
if you see a homeless
society.
person on the side of the road, just hit them. They're useless and they're not implementing anything to society.
Yeah, goodbye.
That
Goodbye.
is
Goodbye.
You're
no.
disgusting.
Goodbye. We don't need
No,
this.
your life and value as a human is not dependent on whether you contribute to something. It comes from the fact that you are a human.
Yeah, that.
No.
Wait, Bobby, what is a human though?
I would say a human is a Homo sapien.
We have a debate in like 5 minutes. They're supposed
What is
to
it? What is like the criterion which makes something a Homo sapien?
I mean, it might be a little bit circular, but I would say having Homo sapien DNA.
Oh God.
Oh, okay. So like it comes down to the DNA. So as long as something is like human and alive, then we shouldn't take actions which like harm this entity.
Human or alive?
Human and alive.
Human and alive, yes, we shouldn't take unjust actions to harm them with
Oh,
malice
interesting.
or with
Have you ever
intent.
have you ever like scratched your arm
Yes, I have.
or itched your arm on purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Are you not unaliving something that is human and alive?
Well, is it a whole human organism or is it just
What does it
part of
matter?
my
I mean,
cell?
the skin cells are human and alive. They are cells. They're pertaining to the Homo sapien species.
No, not exactly, because for one, they're like my cells and they're tiny cells of mine, and they're cells that build up to a whole, which equals me.
So as long as it like comes from you, then it's completely fine to do whatever you want with it.
No, because then it's my cells. If it becomes cells such as like if my sperm equals egg, new person, then no, I can't do whatever I want with that.
But like, let's say like you wanted to chop your arm off, then you should be able to go to the doctors and get your arm chopped off.
No, that's I mean that's a medical thing that people feel like their arm is foreign to them and they risk to chop it off, but you shouldn't. No.
Well, then what's going to be the difference?
Unless
between,
like your arm is like, say you have diabetes and you need to get rid of it, or say if like you're bleeding out and you just got into an accident and you need to amputate it, then yeah, in those circumstances, but just doing it just because you want to, no.
So like, what's going to be the difference between you like chopping off your arm, which is like part of you, but not the fullness of you, and like you scratching an itchy spot, killing skin cells that are also a part of you?
The difference between chopping my arm off and scratching skin cells? Well, for one, they're both mine, so it's both mine and it doesn't affect anyone.
So you can't chop your arm off?
I mean, you can, but you shouldn't.
Okay, should you be able to scratch your arm because it itches?
Yes, I would also say no. You shouldn't chop your arm off because, say, if you chop your arm off, hopefully, if you don't get any like medical attention, you will die. You will bleed out.
Well, I mean, that's why I typically go to the doctor to get it chopped off, right?
Okay, yeah.
Right. So if you're saying that's fine to like itch your arm, but and kill these skin cells, but it's not fine to chop your arm off, then can you tell me what's going to be the symmetry breaker?
Symmetry breaker is you're not functioning as well off as you were without that second arm, opposed to just scratching an itch, and now that itch is gone, and you're no longer slightly bothered.
Okay. So as long as like you can function to almost like the same capacity, then it's fine to do the action. So because it is the case, you wouldn't be functioning to the same capacity by chopping your arm off. It is impermissible to do this action.
Say that last part again.
So you're saying that because so like the symmetry breaker would be the fact that you cut your arm off and now you're not able to function at the same capacity compared to like the skin cells where you're still able to function with the same capacity.
That too, and you're unnecessarily just getting rid of your arm.
Unnecessary. What do you mean by necessary?
Necessarily, I would say without reason.
Okay, let's say that like the arm freaked somebody out like substantially. Like
It
um
freaks you out.
yeah, it just freaked them out having a right arm, and it caused them like massive amounts of stress, and to the point where it made them anxious every day. They couldn't do their day to day tasks. They're just lay in bed and like cover their arm all day, and they weren't doing anything. Would you
I'll
then say it's fine for them to cut their arm off?
No, I would send them to therapy because there's nothing wrong with the arm. The problem is the brain.
Hmm. But the arm's still causing like some kind of disturbance, whether or not.
How so?
Well, they're freaked out about the arm.
Okay, but what's wrong with the arm besides their
There's nothing
brain?
physically wrong. It's just causing some kind of mental harm.
Yeah, mental harm. So then I would send them to a therapist to get fixed with that
Like,
mental problem.
I can just stipulate that the therapist doesn't work.
The therapist doesn't work.
Yeah, like let's just say like they tried that, been there, done that, didn't work. The only thing that they are able to do now is either keep the arm and lay in bed all the entire life covering their arm, or they just chop it off. Now they can at least do some of their actions.
Some of their actions, such as what?
Well, I mean, day to day actions with only having one arm.
Well, that still does limit it. That does limit them quite a lot.
Sure, but I mean, if it's if there's going to be an action in which keeping the arm limits them to only their bed, compared to cutting off their arm is at least able to where they can function within life, work, and do all these other things which normal people would be able to do, should it be a fine for them to chop their arm off?
I would say no because humans, we're not supposed to just be missing a arm. Now, I would say yes for the sake of argument, since you said the therapist doesn't work, but I would still say no. We're not supposed to just unnecessarily get rid of our arm because we have something wrong mentally. Because then I'll apply that to quite a lot of things.
So you would rather them like live a useless life in bed, not working, doing nothing with your life, than chopping their arm off and having them at least come back to some part of their life?
No, because I would say you need to go get help, but even then, getting rid of your arm, it's not normal to just be missing an arm.
Sure, but I mean they'll still be able to work. That's the point. Or you have the first scenario where they don't cut the arm off. They don't do anything. They just lay in bed. Second scenario, they cut the arm off. Now they're able to do everything that they wanted to do, just with one less arm.
Well, then, you know what? For the sake of argument, I'll say, yeah, go ahead, get rid of that arm.
Okay, cool. So if this person is able to get rid of their arm, because it would benefit their life moving forward, or cause their life to like flourish more than their current state, then why wouldn't a mother be able to terminate her pregnancy?
Because if we was to follow this analogy, the arm being the baby, the arm is you, the baby isn't you.
Wait, well, again, what do you take person to be?
A whole separate organism other than yourself. I would say, like, me. There's me, the father, and then there's my son. I'm an organism. He's an organism. He's not a part of me, so I wouldn't say we're the same being. So I wouldn't be able to just kill him.
Spitting no and folk. I agree with you, gang.
That was good, Kai.
What happened? I mean, the debate's in like 6 minutes.
What's up, Genesis? Did you hear me at all? What I said, Genesis?
Well,
I think
Genesis,
something may have happened where he might has to mute. So we'll give it a moment.
yeah, Genesis. I think he got lost in the sauce. Hey, Misty,
That's
do you
fine.
want to be a judge? Misty, you're
No
intellectual.
problem.
Yeah, nice.
I got you.
Yeah, you're intellectually sound and
Thank you.
Yeah, I remember these guys. I like these guys.
Yeah. I tolerate Misty. Genesis is pretty lit too. Rose down there in the comments though. Rose down there in the comments though. That's a different story.
I like Rose.
Mermaid too. Oh my gosh, you should have seen her.
I love Mermaid.
But if I can remember correctly, you said describe an organism. I mean, there's plenty of other organisms, so I'm just limited to just humans. I would say just Homo sapiens.
Yeah, I have a contention with that because, like, if you ever you're pro-life, I presume, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, but like, when you bring that type of definition, it's gonna lead you down to the type of
Fallacies.
reductios with no, the type of reductios he gave you with skin cells. It's also gonna lead you down like reductios of molar pregnancies and things of that nature. So I would sort of change your definition on personhood. I could give you mine if you want.
I think I remember correctly, but yeah. Go ahead again.
So, like, I would say a person would be an individual, right, with the potential for moral agency and sapient.
You could just not make personhood claims at all.
Yeah, you could, but like,
I
if
mean,
you're
we
gonna
got
make
to.
yeah, but if you could not make them at all, but like if you're going to, like you have a definition like this one where it goes under an umbrella of stuff, right? So like if somebody gave you a Superman reductio, that would fall under that. If somebody gave you the the zygote would fall under that.
Because
Things of
they
that
are
nature.
potential. Yeah, they are potential people.
Yeah, yeah,
I would say a whole lot more active than dormant.
yeah. But yeah, I
I
had that.
see. I see what
Yeah,
Genesis is doing. Honestly, I do like that. Trying to sharpen my reason on why I'm pro life. That's fair.
yeah. Iron sharpening iron.
Yeah, Genesis is like one of the
Iron.
best debaters on the app. He's like one of the best debaters in the app.
He's
So
a
why?
master debater. I see.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I
master
wouldn't. Well,
debater.
I wouldn't phrase it in that specific way. But
Yeah, probably not.
Well,
he is like one of the best debaters.
it's kind of like a joke in South Park.
Protect, I have a question. Is Bt3 going first for the open or me?
I mean, you can go first. It does say, "Is it immoral?" So you can go first to the open.
Okay. I'm the affirmative. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, each of you will have 30 minutes to defend your proposition, and that's all. Keep it simple. Keep it calm. We'll just leave it at that.
So the whole thing's an hour?
Yeah. The
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah.
Fair enough. So who's investigating who? He's investigating me, and first I'm investigating him.
Yeah. For the first 30 minutes, he'll be investigating you, and the next 30.
God. Okay.
Here is the actual intellectual titan on the app.
If I
Wait,
hear
what?
about the sentient sperm, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yeah.
No. Sentience is a good position. It's a good position. Don't negate
He's
it.
the,
Mm,
well, he's the
Sorry,
best debater,
I
so
I
you know.
I had a phone call. I'm
not
sorry.
fair.
Sentience is a good position.
No,
I think evictionists is the good position.
It's
Oh
hard to run,
God.
but it's
They
also
all
hard to
have
defend.
strengths and weaknesses. Put it that way.
we were waiting for the Genesis and meatball debate. We're still waiting for
Oh
that.
dear.
I've seen Meatball around. I should
She
reach
was
out to her.
she was around. She was on my panel a couple nights ago.
Yeah.
That would be a
Oh,
really good debate.
that would be a
Yeah.
really good debate. I mean, I'll actually hold a pro-life position to debate her too.
Yeah, that would be a good debate.
Wait. So when's the debate supposed to
It's
actually
supposed to be
start?
right now. I mean, it was supposed to be at 8 o'clock. Then also my judges didn't show up either. So Misty and Genesis are the judges. If you guys want a third, anybody can volunteer.
Third plasma, bro.
Yeah, who wants
Yeah.
to be Misty and I's third?
Yeah, I asked for Plasma to join. He still hasn't. I invited him like 12 times.
Oh,
It's too low tier for him. It's okay.
I asked
Oh,
Error to join too.
Oh hell nah! You're getting Dan in here. That's insane.
Oh,
you're
he's
getting
here.
for me.
you're getting an air
There's
theorist as a
BT3,
judge.
yeah.
Oh my god.
I thought it was just by name. Okay, the only people who should be up here. Actually, I do kind of need moderators too. Actually, all right, it's actually time. Are you guys ready?
Wait, who's judging?
All right, Genesis, Misty, and the third person was supposed to be here. I'm still waiting for that. Or I might just have to pick a new one.
What is the format?
We're both essentially going to be giving internal creaks to one another.
Yeah, my opening is not going to be that long. It's definitely not going to be 5 minutes. 5 minutes is way too long for me.
Let me get a nice little paper here.
It'll probably be like 2 to 3 minutes maybe, and then at BT3, I don't know how long it's going to be for you.
Honestly, I think mine should take the full like 5 minutes.
Oh,
Who's
really?
who's taking the affirmation?
I'm doing
Stargus,
it.
you guys are both holding an affirmation. Affirmative.
No,
Somewhat.
he's negation, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay.
What happened to plasma?
Yeah.
I invited him to be a judge. He's not here.
Interesting. BT3's pro-choice.
Wait, protect. This is on rec, right?
Yeah, this is gonna be on my YouTube channel. So if you miss it, you can rewatch it.
Okay, I can
You
rewatch.
just start with 2 judges. Yeah, you can learn.
I can rewatch the blunders on my end. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can just start with just 2 judges. Maybe that's fine. If that's okay with you guys.
I mean, how would that
Chase
work?
is here. Chase could be. Oh wait, Chase could be a judge. Maybe Chase.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It'll be unbiased too. Yeah, he's pro-choice. He'll be unbiased.
So it's Chase, Misty, and then Genesis? Okay.
Yeah. All right, now everybody has to skedaddle. All right, now you can begin. All right, now we're going to begin. Okay, hello everybody. Doing well tonight. This is another formal debate between Wolfgang and Bt3, and the proposition is abortion immoral. And here's how we're gonna start. Here's the rules: 5-minute openings for each. Then each person will have a proposition to defend. Wolfgang will be defending abortion being immoral for the first 30 minutes, and then BT3 will be defending abortion is moral for the next 30 minutes, and then 5-minute closings. So we will begin. Start with introductions for you guys before we begin. Who are you? Beginning with Wolfgang.
Yeah, I'm okay. So I just say my name and then my position. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Wolfgang, and my position is pro-life.
Nice. Bt3. Who are you? And yeah, tell us who you are.
Yeah, I'm Bt3. I mainly do debates on ethics, and I'm pro-choice.
W.
All right. Nice. All right. So we're gonna start with Wolfgang first. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming in and watching. I'd like to thank the moderators, Chase, Genesis, and Misty. I'd like to thank the host, Protect, for making this debate possible. I'd like to especially thank BT3, who's been very cordial with me and who has agreed to debate me. I'm glad that we can hopefully facilitate a good faith linear discussion. And once again, I appreciate him being here. So I'd like to first lay out my argument and then maybe end with some sort of, not necessarily closing statement, but some sort of plea, if you will. So, my argument for the affirmative pro life position is going to be obviously that the claim abortion in most cases would be morally wrong. That would just follow with premise one, that if an abortion deprives a being that has a future like ours, it causes harm. Premise two would then be the abortion deprives a being of a future like ours. And then premise three would just result from saying, therefore, it would cause harm. Premise four would say, if an action causes harm without sufficient moral justification, then it would just be morally wrong. Premise five, in most cases, abortion lacks sufficient moral justification. And the conclusion to my argument would then be, since the abortion deprives a being of the future like ours, and the deprivation causes harm, the abortion is morally wrong. And this follows the inference rule of modus ponens. So now that my syllogism has been laid out, I'd like to say that abortion does more than just unalive the fetus inside the womb. It deprives them of this future that houses the goods, that houses the experience that we would just all like to value in our own lives. And in that way, we need to, as much as possible, protect the lives of the unborn and regulate abortion so that less harm is being done to the human population. Thank you.
All right. Nice. I'll stop the timer. Good job. All right. I'll give BT3 the timer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Sure. So on its face, well, sorry, I'd just like to start by thanking Protect for hosting, the judges for judging, Wolfgang for participating in the debate, and the audience for showing up and watching it. So I think on its face, the flow position is quite attractive. We all likely have stakes or interests in future experiences and would not want them deprived. I'm sure this is something that everyone can relate to and find somewhat intuitive, regardless of your perspective on the matter. Where the view starts to fall apart, I would argue, is in its normative basis being consequentialist, and in the fact that it relies on counterfactual accounts of harm while trying to disregard strong metaphysical claims. My opponent is running the view a little differently, whereas Marquis's view says that the wrong maker is depriving someone of a future valuable experience. For my opponent, the value in these future experiences is irrelevant. So this then begs the question, why would the deprivation be wrong, even when these future experiences are stripped away from any potential value? Because from my perspective, that seems to be what makes Marquis's view prima facie intuitive. Sorry? Oh. Even aside from this, there seems to still be cases in which unaliving someone would not lead to the deprivation of future experiences, but we would still say it's wrong. Conversely, there are instances in which the deprivation of future experiences would be permissible, as in cases like euthanasia. Marques's view can actually account for these, whereas my opponents cannot. Finally, the counterfactual account of harm could be indexed before implantation. It would then follow that contraception is just as bad, if not worse, than murder in that case of AB. Through my opponent's perspective, the harm would only be counterfactual. In contrast, if the mother does not get the AB, the harm is actualized through her experiences, whether they be physical, emotional, or financial. So this brings me to my argument. In the earlier stages of pregnancy, the fetus does not share the same personhood status as the mother. Therefore, its bodily integrity should not be prioritized over the mother because there is no person in question who would be harmed as a result. So, what is a person? It seems that what separates us from non persons is a collection of abilities, such as the ability to think rationally or be self aware. That might be why we would view it as wrong to unalive Superman, even though he's not biologically human, but still has the traits we generally assign to persons. When I think about these abilities, the ability to sustain a continuous personal identity, to engage in rational thinking, or to act in moral dilemmas, they all seem to be predicates of a mental life. This is something that is somewhat accounted for even in my opponent's position. If someone suffers from an incident that destroys the upper half of their brain, so they can no longer have this mental life, there would be no wrong maker in unaliving them because there's no future experiences to deprive. Even in my opponent's position, moral value is predicated on there being a mental life for which experiences can occur. Given that all of these things require mental life and that in order to have a mental life, you must be sentient, it follows that sentience is a necessary condition for personhood. If it's true that sentience is necessary for personhood, it would follow that the fetus prior to sentience is not a person, therefore it should not be afforded the same moral protections, since doing so would override the moral protections owed to the woman who is an actual person. And with that, I'll concede my time.
All right, nice. So we're gonna put Wolfgang in the hot seat for 30 minutes. Wolfgang will be defending his proposition. I'll start the timer, and Bt3 will be pressing his position. Let me set the timer. All right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, so why is the deprivation of future experiences simplistic or immoral? Like I understand in Marques's view, it has to do with the potential value of these experiences, but
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be the case that if you deprive a being of a future like ours, I mean, it just follows that they would be robbed of any future life that they have. And if they're robbed of any future life that they have, which would include these experiences, regardless of positive or negative qualia, it would follow that it would be wrong because now all of a sudden they no longer have any life to experience.
so it would be wrong because you're depriving them of future experiences?
That's kind of the view. I mean, that's the harm theoretic, right?
Right. I guess like why would it be wrong if the experiences aren't valuable or they don't need to be?
What do you mean?
Like if someone isn't going to have future valuable experiences, what would be the harm in depriving those?
So, okay, so what do you mean? Well, okay, first off, when you say if no one's going to have, if we stipulate one person's not going to have a future valuable experience, does that mean where they're not going to really be like a conscious agent? Like they're not going to experience, like they're not going to have any experiences at all? Or what do you mean?
Here, why don't I give you an example? Because you want to
Yeah.
say that intentionally depriving someone of future experiences is wrong,
Mhm.
regardless of if those experiences are valuable or not, correct?
Yeah. Well, what do you mean by valuable?
Just that they're experiences
Yeah.
and which hold value.
Sure. All right. Good.
Yeah, so let's say there's a terminally ill hermit, right? And they're going to unalive in 2 weeks. And within those 2 weeks, they're going to suffer immensely. So the hermit doesn't want to go through these 2 weeks of suffering, and there's an option to give for the doctor to give him a medication that would end his life instantly, and he wouldn't have to suffer for those 2 weeks. If you're saying that the intentional deprivation of future experiences is wrong, it would seem to follow that you believe the doctor has like a moral obligation to go against the hermit's wishes and then let him suffer for these 2 weeks.
Well, right. Okay. So let's lay something out. I mean, if it's the case that, I mean, the hermit's going to unalive in 2 weeks, and they're going to suffer from this point on for another 2 weeks. Okay, I would say, I mean, no, there would still be deprivation, which would be morally incorrect. I mean, which follows just of my view. I mean, I don't necessarily know why the suffering in question. Like I would say maybe in the hypothetical, if there's no way to mitigate the suffering, like if there's no medication to reduce like any nerve pain, or if there's nothing to maybe reduce, quote unquote, like any awareness of the nerve pain, then I'm not really sure. I would still say no, it's wrong. But yeah.
So you would say that regardless of the interests of this hermit, you would say that they should still suffer? Like, let's say that there's no medication to prevent the suffering. You would still say that the doctor has a moral obligation to um, let them suffer until they pass away.
Well, I mean, I think you're presupposing the hermit has interest. What do you mean interest? Interest to die? Interest to survive? What do you mean?
Yeah, like the hermit has an interest to take this medication and not suffer for the 2 weeks.
I'm not really sure how that would follow. How would you know that?
How would you know what?
How would you know that the hermit has an interest to take the medication to pass away peacefully?
It's because it's a hypothetical. Like in this hypothetical, the hermit doesn't want to suffer the 2 weeks. He wants to take this medication so he won't have to suffer.
Okay, I mean, if in this hypothetical world the hermit consents, then I mean, I don't see the problem. Sure,
You don't see the problem in what?
I don't see the problem in the hermit taking the medication if the hermit consents. Like
If they're okay.
that just like follows with euthanasia. I mean, that's
Yeah,
fine.
but it would okay, so I guess from that it would seem that the reason why it would be permissible to deprive this person of life is because of the lack of value in their future experiences, no?
No, so
So,
that's not
okay.
that. Yeah, so I mean, you've stipulated that the future experiences are valuable because there's value in them. I don't know if I steelmanned your definition correctly. If I didn't, let me know. But so that's not the reason why the deprivation, I think, would be right. The reason why the deprivation in a way would be right is because there would, in this hypothetical world, be consent involved. When you deprive something, there will be harm there if the person doesn't consent to it. Right? So
Okay, so like let's say I walked up to you and I'm like, "Hey Wolfgang, look, life's not going too well right now, and you have my consent to kind of unalive me and take me out of my misery." Would that be fine because you had my consent?
that's not a justified reason, right?
So what makes it justified?
Well, I mean, in the case of the hermit, if the hermit can express to you that they're, I mean, obviously suffering, right, and in a way where they're going to unalive from some condition, and there's a property that alleviates the suffering, then it would be the case that that would be okay. But in a case where you come to me and you're like, life's not necessarily going well for me, you wouldn't necessarily be suffering at least anywhere near to the same effect as a hermit who is going to pass away from a condition, right?
So is the symmetry breaker just in one instance there's like a potential for valuable experiences and in the other there isn't?
Not necessarily.
So what would be the symmetry breaker?
Both have potential valuable experiences, right? But I would say that
Well, the
for
hermit does not. Like it
what?
would just have potential experiences to suffer.
Okay.
Just
So you're saying there's potential. So the potential experiences in your life or in your future would also include suffering to the same extent as the hermit.
no. Let's say that there's no telling whether the potential experiences I have are going to be valuable or not, like in the case of the fetus. But in the case of the hermit, we know that they're going to be like suffering.
I mean, I'm not necessarily sure what to think about that. I mean, I guess there would still be a wrong maker there in deprivation, regardless if there's quote unquote value in the future experience or not. I would just say that,
Okay, but there wouldn't be like it wouldn't be wrong in the hermit case, right? Like you said that.
well, it wouldn't be wrong on the basis that there was consent. Now, in the case
Well,
that
there's
you,
consent in the case I gave as well, right? Like
okay,
there would be consent in both cases.
okay, so do you think, so in a case where you're going to pass away from a condition soon and it's causing you immense suffering, then it would be, so okay, so you're stipulating it would be okay to, for me to unalive you? I mean, that's not, I don't think
What?
so.
Where's the so in the hermit case you're saying that it would be fine to deprive them of life because of a lack of valuable experiences. Or no,
That's
you
not
just
what I
said it
said.
was because of the consent.
Yeah.
But it seems like in the second case I gave you, I would give your consent for you to end my life. So what would be the difference between the two scenarios?
I mean, are you suffering to a point that you would pass away from a condition? I
No?
don't think so. Right. So I don't necessarily think it would be okay for me to end your life.
Right. I understand that, but why? Because the reason why you said it was okay in the hermit case was because of consent. In this case, there's consent, but you're saying it would be wrong.
Yeah. So I mean, the wrong. You just said that you're not. So okay, in the conditions you laid out of the hermit, there doesn't seem to be the condition of the hermit suffering to such an extent that it wants to unalive. Now, if you're suffering to such an extent that you want to unalive, and you ask me to end your life in a peaceful manner, then I mean, I'm not really sure how I would take that. If you're suffering to such an extent, particularly from a condition that would cause you to unalive and you just want to unalive, then honestly, you know what, I would say that's fine. But if you're just going to give me a case where you're just like, oh, life's not necessarily going too well, man, can you, like, take me
Yeah,
out? Like, obviously not.
right, but why not? Like, you're not giving me a symmetry breaker, I feel. Because
Okay.
at first you said it was consent, there's consent in both instances. It seems like the only difference is I would have potential valuable experiences and the hermit wouldn't.
Well, I mean, okay, Bt3, because there's no, because the quote unquote suffering of not necessarily having a good life versus a condition that's causing you to experience immense physical pain that's going to
Hmm.
cause you to unalive soon is not necessarily analogous, no?
Why not? I mean, it would be analogous if you're saying that the reason why it would be okay to unalive the hermit is because he has the consent, or
Well,
because he gave consent. So in this instance, it's me giving you consent to take my life, and you're saying that it would be wrong.
okay, so the misunderstanding here is that the hermit is undergoing a level of suffering that would be unparalleled to yours, right? You're not necessarily
S-
experiencing
Yeah.
that level right. So I mean, I don't need to read.
So it would be the fact that in one instance there's a valuable future, in one instance there isn't, right? That's the moral symmetry breaker.
I never mentioned any valuable future in one person or another. What I'm saying,
Okay.
yeah. So it's because you again earlier there was a stipulation where you mentioned valuable future or valuable experience. I forgot what your definition was. So I went off of that, and now I'm saying that the wrong maker in depriving you is that, I mean, there's a capability of more experience, right? And there's a capability, I would
There's a
say,
capability of more experience in the hermit too. It's just gonna not be good experiences. So
you just said it would pass away in 2 weeks. It's suffering and it's giving consent.
yeah, so it has a future of 2 weeks of experiences.
Yeah, okay. So again, the deprivation would be wrong in that case. It's wrong regardless, right? But if they're giving consent to do the action to it, because it doesn't simply want to live anymore and is expressing something to you, then if it signs off on that, then I think unaliving the hermit for it would be okay. Now, if you're coming to me and saying, well, my life's not doing too well, that doesn't seem like it would fit the same conditions as the hermit, right? Or
Why
if it
not?
did, well, I mean, I need you to motivate me on that it would. Doesn't seem like it would.
Well, like, why wouldn't it? Like, what do you think the difference would be? Because the only difference you kind of gave is consent, or the reason you said it would be fine in the hermit case would be consent.
Yeah. Okay. So in the case of the hermit, right? You're saying there's some immense physical and I would probably obviously psychological suffering. You're coming up to me and saying my life isn't doing too well.
Hmm.
Can you maybe expand on that condition so I can understand how to answer it? Because those two aren't the same thing.
Right, I understand they're not the same thing, but in one case you're saying that it would be wrong to deprive the person, um, or you're saying that it would be fine to deprive the person, not because of like a lack of future valuable experiences, but rather because they gave you the consent. So I'm giving you an instance in which I gave you consent to unalive me. It seems like you would say that it would be permissible because I gave consent, right? Because
No.
that's the reason that it would be okay in the case.
So again, the act of deprivation is going to be wrong altogether, right?
Right,
So
but you said it would be permissible in the hermit case, right?
yeah, because there's
So
immense
it wouldn't
suffering
be
in the
wrong
hermit.
altogether.
Well, okay, so when I say wrong altogether, I'm saying that, I mean, we're going back to my argument on deprivation. Now, obviously, there's some actions, I mean, at least that you would say are quote unquote wrong, like lying is wrong, but people do it anyway for some sort of reason, right? But in the case of, the deprivation, it's still a wrong action, but we're doing it in virtue of the hermit suffering and expressing its consent to not be around anymore. Now,
Okay,
when
let's say in the second case, let's say I'm currently suffering in life and I give you consent to take my life away because I'm suffering currently.
what do you mean? What do you mean you're suffering? That's a
Like,
vague
let's
term.
say I'm struggling in life. I'm suffering. My life could get better, but I have no interest in pursuing that, and I want you to take my life. I give you consent.
Okay, I'm asking you. Well, again, I said it was vague. I'm asking you what you mean by suffering. What does suffering entail?
Suffering, let's say I lost my job, and I'm like experiencing like financial hardships.
Yeah, no.
What do you
That's
mean, no? Is that not, are you not suffering if you're experiencing financial hardships?
no. I'm saying that it just you're. I mean, giving more evidence as to how false the equivalency this is because you're saying, okay, I just lost my job. I'm in a financial hardship.
Yeah.
Okay, and now we're comparing that to the hermit, which is saying,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, the hermit's now having this physical condition or whatever may have you in your hypothetical, and now it's going to pass away in 2 weeks and it gives consent. Like, I'm not necessarily sure that those two are the same thing, right? Can
But
we
you
agree on
haven't been
that?
able to give me a relevant difference. You're just saying they're not the same thing.
You've given me a false equivalency. How can I give you a relevant difference if they're not analogous? That makes zero sense.
Well, I explained how it's analogous because you're saying the reason that it would be fine to end the hermit's life is because of his consent and because he's like suffering. So if all the same things were the same in the second case, you would have to give me a symmetry breaker.
That so okay, I never said it was okay. Just
You said
because
it would be permissible in the hermit case, right?
does permissible mean it's okay?
I mean, if you want to argue semantics, we can just say, why is it permissible in one situation and not the other?
Yeah, sure. I mean, in some cases of deprivation, like for example, self-defense, obviously you would be upholding your own
Right.
life. That would be
I understand self-defense. Let's focus on this specifically, because self-defense is another thing in of itself.
okay. Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm letting you continue. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah. Okay. So again, the consent doesn't necessarily make the action right. The consent just gives a sign off that somebody doesn't necessarily want to be around anymore to experience suffering. Now,
Okay.
if we're going to make the case, if we're going to make the case that you're suffering to such an extent that you could potentially unalive from losing your job and being in hard financial straits, I mean, I'm not necessarily sure me depriving you of your experiences would be wrong, yet you would be signing off. So, like, it's just
Okay.
because there's some level of permissibility from you, like you give like the sign off on that. I don't necessarily think that would just make the action in and of itself an action that's now one that's good or
Well,
whatever.
that was the reason you gave for the first case. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about the counterfactual thing, because
Mm-hmm.
it seems like you want to say that the harm in AB is that it's an intentional action in which the consequence of is that it deprives the embryo of like a possible world in which it wasn't AB'd and would have went to go on and experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so um imagine a sperm is wailing towards an egg. It will reach it unless you do something. You block it, you prevent the sperm from meeting with the egg and deprive it of a possible world in which it would have otherwise became an embryo and then became a neonate. It would seem the action in either scenario would lead to this consequence, but I assume you wouldn't say contraception is schmurder. So what would be the relevant difference between the two situations?
Yeah, the relevant difference is that the capacity exists in virtue of the human being's existence from zygotic formation, not of the sperm cells or egg cells' existence.
What do you mean?
Yeah, so when I say capacity in my worldview, from my, five premise argument, that would just stipulate future valuable experiences. That doesn't exist in a sperm cell. A sperm cell doesn't have the capacity for that.
Okay, well, if in this scenario, if you don't if you don't have an IUD, then the sperm cell is going to continue on the same trajectory as an embryo would. And then if you were to deprive it of that, there would be a possible world in which that didn't happen and it would have became a person. So I'm still not seeing, like, you're saying that one has a capacity and one doesn't, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a relevant difference. Do you want me to give another condition?
well, I mean, why would like the capacity? Because it seems like, what do you mean by a capacity, I guess?
Well, yeah, so a capacity would just be, I don't know, another adjective would be faculties for. So a being like that of an animal, a human being, which is technically an animal, would have the capacity for future experiences, future valuable experiences. A sperm cell is not necessarily the nature of a being per se. It's not necessarily a human. It lacks, or animal. It lacks the faculties, if you will, for the future valuable experiences. So using contraceptives wouldn't be wrong because there's really no capacity to deprive, right?
Right. I mean, in either scenario, you would be depriving it of a counterfactual world in which it would have became like a newborn. You would agree with this, right?
When you say counterfactual world, are you just referring to another world where our current our current facts don't apply?
It's a possible world in which, in the
Yeah.
contraception example, and like let's say there was no contraception, and then there was nothing preventing like the trajectory, and in the AB case, there was no AB to prevent the trajectory. It seems like in either case, an intentional action would be taken in depriving the entity of this counterfactual like world, right?
Yeah, regardless of whether the sperm cells in the counterfactual world or not, they don't necessarily embody the nature of a being. And if that's the case, then they don't have the capacity, right?
I mean, they would have, like, when you say capacity, it kind of just
Faculties
the faculty to become this thing, right? Like,
to have the future valuable experiences, yeah.
yeah, well, I think in the hypothetical I gave, the sperm cell would have entered into the egg, developed into an embryo, and had these future experiences. So it seems like it would have this capacity, right?
I mean, it seems like there's an equivocation between the potential of having the capacity and the potential of actualizing the capacity. The sperm cell, I mean, I think for your view, you could just say, well, the sperm cell could actualize the capacity. But that's not possible because it's not of the nature of a being, like I mentioned, like the nature of an animal, if you will.
Well, the
Right?
nature of a sperm cell is to collide with an egg and then become a person, right? A human being.
Okay.
Would you disagree with this, or
I mean, I think biologically, yeah, when a sperm and egg meet, fertilization occurs. I don't see how that's relevant.
what? It's like I'm bringing it up because it seems like it would just be the same with the embryo, right? Like the embryo is on a trajectory towards being a person, such as the sperm, right?
Again, I laid out, I laid out the condition. I mean, it's not the nature of the being. Do you want to
Yeah,
break
what do
that apart?
you when you say it's not the nature of the being, like because I said that like the nature of a sperm cell is to become a person, right? Or would you disagree with this?
Not in all cases, no. It
What
doesn't
do you
make a whole
mean
sense.
not in all cases?
Well, because obviously, in all cases of, well, not in all cases of the sperm, quote unquote, meeting the egg, there isn't fertilization all the time. So, do you mean like all the time? There's a
Well,
nature.
yeah, but the same thing can be said about like an embryo, like in cases like sometimes there's a miscarriage, right?
Right.
So it would just kind of be the same, wouldn't it?
Yeah, a miscarriage is a natural process that occurs and wouldn't necessarily be the fault of the mother. Well, that really depends on
Well,
whatever.
I'm not saying it's the fault of the mother. I'm just saying that you're
Well, yeah.
saying there's instances in which the sperm would not reach the egg or whatever.
Okay.
So I'm just saying there's instances in which the embryo wouldn't reach the stage of being a person regardless of like deprivation.
I mean, I've already laid out to you that it fails to have the capacity because it doesn't have the nature of a being, right? It's a single
Right.
celled organism that's
Yeah,
a
I
lot
mean, even
of.
this is kind of just like you're focusing on the ontology of the being, which
Mhm.
that wasn't really speculated in your opening. Like you didn't make any metaphysical claims, but also it kind of just sidesteps the entire counterfactual argument, right?
How
Like,
does
regardless of whether or not this thing is in the nature to do something, there still would be a counterfactual deprivation of harm,
wait?
right?
How does it sidestep the nature or not, or sorry, sidestep the argument?
It sidesteps the counterfactual world because you're saying that, like, regardless of whether or not it's like the nature of the being or whatever,
Yeah.
um, this being would still be deprived of these like counterfactual world.
Wait. So, okay. So, oh, okay. I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be deprived in the sense that you're talking about. And I mean, if you want to say that I'm ad hocing in a way, I don't think I really am because I'm analyzing another trait that's possible of the being, right, versus the sperm cell, if you will. So,
Can you elaborate on that? Like, why does the sperm cell not have a capacity, but like an embryo would?
I mean, I've said this like 5 times.
Yeah, you said it was the nature of the being, but that seems kind
Uh-huh.
of vague.
Well, yeah. So when I mean nature of being, I'm just referring to I mean it's like existence. It's I mean
This is also
really
vague.
really all that how is that vague? How is its existence vague? That just makes sense.
You're saying the nature of the being is the symmetry breaker, and then I ask, what does it mean to like, and you're saying the existence. Well, it seems like a sperm cell would exist, right? So I'm not sure what you mean by existence.
Well, yeah, a sperm cell doesn't fall under the categories of an animalistic being, correct?
Okay, so I
Why would I
mean, are
care?
you arguing an animalist thesis? Because like flow doesn't, or at least you didn't really make any metaphysical claims. But if you want to go with animalism, we can do that.
I mean, sure.
Okay, so I guess as an animalist, how would you respond to like it can wait, are you like a strict animalist in the sense of like one person, one organism?
Can you define that? Or give me
So
further?
animal under a strict animalist thesis, it follows like that if there's one human organism, there's one person. You would sign off on that?
Sure.
Okay, so in cases of like conjoined twins, right, where they have a conjoined body but two different heads, would you be committed to saying that this is still one person because there's only one organism?
Um, there isn't one organism though. What are you talking about?
There's one human organism, yeah. That's just, how is it not?
Because conjoined twins quite literally stipulates two different people. Like that's
Right, but it would be one body, right?
they're not one. What?
Do you know what
No,
a conjoined twin is? It's one
I
body.
I know I know exactly what that is. It's where two people are conjoined together, probably at the arm, the head, the leg.
Yes, so this would be one body, right? One biological organism.
I don't see how this reductio follows. It's just two organisms attached together. Like there's no. I don't see how this lands.
How is it two organisms if it's one body?
Okay, it. I'm sorry. Just because two bodies are stitched together at the arm or head doesn't necessarily mean it's one person, right? They
It wouldn't
share
be
different.
two bodies, it would be one body shared by two people.
So okay, I mean, I don't necessarily think if you or I were attached together, we would be one body. But like
I mean, this,
yeah.
so if you see a conjoined twin, right, you would say that this is two bodies? That doesn't make much sense.
What? How? Okay, so how are two conjoined twins
It's a
one body?
conjoined twin, but
Well,
yeah,
yeah. So how does that make it one body?
they share a body. That's what a conjoined twin is. It's two people sharing one body.
So okay. Um,
Because
I
from
mean,
my perspective, it would be two people because there's two minds present. But from your animalist thesis, where you said that a person is identical to the organism, it would seem as though like you would have to say that there's one person because there's only one organism.
Yeah, the time has elapsed. I'll let you finish this point and we'll go on.
Okay.
oh, so do I respond? Okay. I
Okay.
mean, I would say there. I mean, I don't under. I guess I don't understand. I mean, the difference. All I see there is just two human beings attached together that have different consciouses, different persons, different. Like that's.
Okay, but
All right.
so they're different people by virtue of them having different consciousnesses, right?
All right.
No, they're two different people in virtue of two different organisms. Like that's what?
It's one organism, but okay.
All right. I'm gonna start a timer for Bt3's proposition to be defending that abortion is moral. So Wolfgang will be pressing him. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, Bt3, can you give me the motivations for why abortion is going to be moral?
I mean, I kind of already did in my opening, right? Do you want me to restate my argument?
Like sentience?
Like, yeah, I think that sentience is necessary for personhood. So prior to sentience, I don't think the fetus is a person, so it wouldn't have the same moral rights as one.
Okay, why? So why is sentience necessary for personhood?
Because everything we would attribute with personhood, whether it be the ability to have experiences, the ability to think rationally, pretty much anything you can think of, like the ability to have like a psychological unity, all of these would be predicates of some sort of mental life, and in order to have a mental life, you would need to be sentient, so it would just follow that in order to be a person, it would be necessary that you are sentient.
Okay, so sentience is going to just be the qualifications that we give of sentience, which lead to personhood. Is that what I did I interpret that correctly?
I'm sorry, could you rephrase that?
Yeah. So faculties like actualization would just attribute to personhood under your worldview, correct?
I don't really know what you mean by actualization. Like, I'll give an example, because you think that experiences are valuable. You think the deprivation of experiences are valuable.
Yeah.
And I think experiences are valuable too, but I also think that in order to have experiences, you must be sentient. So it
Mhm.
seems like everything that would make us people, whether it be in a normative or metaphysical sense, would presuppose there being a mind.
Okay, so a mind has to exist in order for sentience to exist, and personhood comes from sentience. Therefore, people are morally valuable if they're sentient or if they have a mind.
Uh, yeah, yeah, I mean, the phrasing is a little wonky, but in a sense, that's my position, yes.
Okay, so I mean, okay, I guess I could give a reductio to this. Like, let's say I don't know, this person. We'll just stipulate. I don't know, like I don't know, a random person, and I take out their brain for 5 minutes. I take out whatever makes them, under your definition, them. What any of the brain parts that allow for sentience, any of the brain parts that allow for whatever you would imagine, and we can stipulate or put it back in 5 minutes. In that time frame, can I kill them?
No, why would this follow from what I said?
Yeah, because it seems like the mind is going to facilitate the moral value in a being.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if they don't have a mind, then they're not morally valuable. So under that hypothetical, you would have to say yes, right?
Well, if you're gonna put the mind back, um, and then presumably it would be the case that this person would still retain all of their like memories, experiences, etc. It seems like this would be what would be connecting them is this psychological unity. Like this would be what makes them a person from the time you take their brain out to the time you put it back in. The fact that there's like a personal identity that persists through this.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily addressing, I mean, what I just said, because for those 5 minutes, whatever made them valuable is gone, right? And that would follow from your worldview. So when you say yes, there's a contradiction there.
Uh, Not necessarily, because in this example, it sounds like just like it sounds the same as if I were to go to sleep at night, right? Like I wouldn't have like let's say I go to sleep at night
No.
and I have a dreamless sleep. No? What do you mean no?
I mean, under your worldview, there's still a brain there to be valued, right?
Sure,
Yeah, okay. We take the brain out for 5 minutes, we put it back in 5 minutes. In that 5 minute time, are they valuable? You're saying yes, because why?
because they have like a psychological continuity, right? Like they're still the same person before you take the brain out and after.
They're the same. Okay, so why does psychological continuity matter?
Because I think that it accounts for scenarios in which animalism cannot, like brain swap cases. So I think that it should be used as like a foundation or like a thesis for philosophy of mind just because of those reasons.
So it's valuable because you're able to defend it against an animalist argument.
My theory or my thesis of personal identity as it relates to personhood, I think this thesis makes more sense because it can account for scenarios and case examples in which animalism, your view, cannot.
Okay,
And
but
like, I guess an example would be the conjoined twin example. So,
Right. So notice how that didn't answer my question. I asked why this makes somebody valuable.
why does what make someone? Why does
Person.
what? Why does personhood matter in like a moral sense? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
It would just be analytically true of the term. Like personhood refers to the ways in which moral status is afforded.
How?
What do you mean how? It's just what the term refers to.
Well, okay, so why is personhood going to substantiate moral value? Like, and you're saying it's analytically true. How is it
Yeah.
analytically true?
Because it's true of the definition of personhood.
Okay, so what is the definition of personhood under your own worldview?
I mean, we don't even have to go off my own worldview. I have just a definition from Wikipedia. Personhood is the status of having outstanding moral worth.
Personhood's having this, status of outstanding moral worth.
Hmm.
So without this personhood, which what begins around sentience and gestation, there's no
Yep.
moral worth. Okay, so which is interesting because in the reductio, that person has no personhood for 5 minutes. So why are they still morally valuable? Is there another trait that makes them morally valuable?
I mean, you're saying that they wouldn't have personhood for 5 minutes. Like, even if you remove the brain, I don't know how this would be different than like a comatose person, right? Like, if someone goes in a coma, they have all their memories, personality before the coma, and then once they awake from the coma, they still retain all of these things. It wouldn't seem like they would lose that personhood, right?
Okay, so I'm not necessarily okay. So you're saying that personhood's grounded in the mind, or at least I would assume that's what you're saying. Um,
Yes.
yeah, I don't take that as a condition that would motivate me for moral value, right? Because coma patients or people who we take brains out of for 5, actually I'm not even going to say that. Comatose patients, I mean, in a way, can't necessarily express any interests. They can't demonstrate some sort of conscious experience. They can't necessarily connect to anything meaningful around them. They're just simply bodies on a bed. So why would they be valuable?
For the same reason I speculated earlier, is because there's like a continuous psychological profile that connects them to the person they were before the coma to the person they were after. Like, I think that's what remains numerically identical.
They're numerically identical. Okay, so can I ask, I guess again, why personhood would matter?
Because it's analytically true of the definition. I already answered this.
Okay, so personhood matters because it gives people value.
Yes, we ascribe value to things with personhood.
Okay, so is that an objective definition?
It is the definition. I don't know if it would be an objective definition.
So if it's okay, so if it wasn't an objective definition, then it's possible people with personhood wouldn't be valuable. Correct?
Sorry?
Okay. If it's not an objective definition, then it's possible that people with personhood could not necessarily be morally valuable, right?
I mean, I feel like this is kind of just going to the semantics of it. I mean, it depends on what you mean by like subjective or objective. Like, this is what the term refers to.
Just mind dependent or independent.
Okay, what's mind dependent or independent? Like
That
the
would,
definition?
yeah.
I I don't think definitions can be mind independent. Like, we create definitions, so
Okay. So you're saying, I guess just to go back to personhood, then there would be value in virtue of the definition. So I guess then I mean, or the psychological continuity at least. So the psychological continuity, I mean, in the reductio I'm giving you wouldn't exist. It probably would exist in a coma patient. Those two people aren't necessarily the same, right?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Okay, the coma patient, you're stipulating the coma patient would be the same as the person who I take the brain away from for 5 minutes. They'd be the same because why?
Because there's a psychological continuity that connects them.
There's a psychological continuity that connects them. And is there a psychological continuity in the person whose brain I removed?
Assuming once you put the brain back in, they have access to all of their same memories and experiences, yes.
Okay, why does that? Okay, assuming. So why does that matter?
Why does what matter? The
Why does
psychological continuity?
no? You're saying, oh well, they're going to get their brain back in 5 minutes, so killing them would be wrong. I don't see how that would be different from aborting a non-sentient fetus because they're going to achieve sentience.
Sure, well, in this case, in the comatose person, or the first example you gave, there's already someone with, like, a personal identity. Like, is already a person. Like, in the case of the fetus, it's not a person. This is
So
something I stipulated before.
okay, so the fetus, a non-sentient fetus isn't a person, and you said persons are going to be morally valuable because that's just in virtue of the definition of personhood, or am I misunderstanding?
Yes, because personhood refers to how we morally value things.
Okay, so just to run this back one more time. It's the case that a non-sentient fetus is not valuable because it's not a person, and being a person is going to just be descriptive of somebody who has personhood, if you will, if that makes sense. And then personhood is what makes that person valuable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that just seems like it goes in a circle.
Can you repeat that? Maybe I wasn't listening fully.
Yeah, so okay, because you're saying that non-sentient fetuses aren't persons. And then I asked you,
Yes,
why do persons matter? And then you said what exactly? Just to be clear.
I said that persons or personhood matters, like, because it's written into the definition.
Okay, I could write it in the definition that non-sentient fetuses matter. Now what?
I mean, I could write it that birds don't have wings, but it doesn't change, like, the fact of the matter, right?
Do you see how it goes nowhere? Like you're just saying, oh well, it's just true by definition. I mean,
That personhood refers to, like, something's moral status.
yeah. So if you're saying it's true by definition, I guess I'm confused why we would even take the definition as something that's acceptable. Why
The
why would I
definition of personhood is something that's acceptable.
like I'm not necessarily yeah, I don't know why that would motivate me at all as to why as to why people are valuable. Like, that's
Are you a vegan?
I don't know why you're asking me that. What is the relevance?
Okay, I mean, do you think that, well, I feel like generally is the case, we hold people as more valuable as, like, plants or animals, right?
Sure.
So it would seem that in this case, persons have some sort of moral value that would oversee, like, non-persons.
And persons, okay, so okay, and you're saying that a non-sentient fetus isn't a person because it doesn't have a mind?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, good. So personhood stems from the mind, correct?
yes,
Okay. If personhood stems from the mind, let's go back to my example. Would that person still be a person in those 5 minutes?
yes. And here, let me give an example to kind of clear
What?
this. Let me give an example to kind of clear this up, if that's all right with you.
Yeah.
So in one case, you're walking by a McDonald's and the lights are turned off, right? Because it's closed. So there's
Okay.
still a restaurant there, even though it's temporarily shut down or temporarily closed for the night. Now, in the other example, the other case, you walk by a construction site of a McDonald's. So there is no McDonald's yet, but there will be one once it finishes developing. So it's kind of the same case as in like what we're talking about. So in the first case, like the construction of the McDonald's can just be like the embryo.
Right.
And then in the second case, the McDonald's that's closed is just a person who's like in a coma, for an example. Like there's still a person there even though the lights are turned off temporarily.
Okay, so I mean, I think I think there's a clear distinction between going to sleep and then me taking someone's brain out of their skull. Obviously, right?
I guess maybe in a descriptive sense, but
Sure. So going back, just to be clear, personhood stems from the mind. Personhood is what makes people valuable. If I take somebody's mind away for 5 minutes, they don't have personhood, therefore they're no longer valuable. But you responded by saying, well, they're still valuable. Is there another condition that makes that person, or quote unquote, I mean, person, not under your semantics, but under a general colloquial semantics, valuable? Or are you just going to accept that that's a contradiction?
well, it wouldn't be a contradiction because I'm saying that what makes us people is like the continuous psychological content or the psychological continuity, right? So
Yeah.
if in this case the person who had their brain removed, once they get the brain back, they would still be like the same person. It doesn't seem like they would lose personhood because there would still be like a continuity of psychological experiences or a psychological profile that persists from the time you take out my brain to the time you put it back in.
Okay, so would their value change if their memory was wiped or if they were a whole different person?
I mean, if their memory was wiped, I feel like they would still be a person. There could be a debate as to whether or not if you lose like all of your memories and experiences, you're still the same person, but like there would still be a person there.
Yeah, that's kind of irrelevant to what we're talking about. So just to be clear, you said yes, that they're valuable because of the psychological continuity, but you can fact check me on this. Continuity would imply something continues. If the psychological states don't continue, it would be the case they're not valuable. That's by your view.
So is this a different hypothetical?
No, this still goes under the taking away 5 minutes.
Well, if
By the
that's
way.
the case, then I don't see what anything would change.
Well, I mean, Bt3, you stipulated that personhood comes from the mind. Personhood makes somebody valuable. Therefore, if somebody has a mind, they're valuable because of personhood and all these things. So if we take away the mind, they lose their personhood, therefore they lose their moral value. So it's fine to kill them in those 5 minutes.
Right, and I'm trying to explain to you how that wouldn't follow because it would just be the same as if someone was to go under a state of like anesthesia. They wouldn't have any experiences or awareness, which I assume would be similar to the case in which you're giving, but it would still be wrong to unalive them because like there's psychological continuity connecting them, right?
Yeah, but they still have a mind, right?
I mean, I guess like if they have no awareness or experience at all, like I don't see how this would be different than the case you gave.
Because, well, Bt3, there's a very large difference, I mean, between having a mind and not having a mind. You stipulated that a mind is what makes somebody valuable because of the personhood it gives them. But if there's no mind there, then are they valuable? And you're saying yes because they'll get it back in 5 minutes. That just sounds like you're, in a
Well,
way,
it's
probably conceding to flow, almost.
well, it wouldn't be conceding to flow because, like, even in this example, like there are future experiences, but there's already like someone who's had the experiences to which would constitute a personal identity.
Okay, why do past experiences matter?
Because they constitute they constitute memories, experiences, a personal identity, things that would make us people either in a normative or metaphysical sense.
Okay, why would that matter?
I mean, it's kind of just going back to why would personhood matter, right? Like that's essentially what you're asking me.
Well, and you're saying it's in virtue of the definition. So it's definitionally true that memories, experiences that build up throughout your life make you valuable. But it just seems a little bit unfair to say that, well, in one case,
yeah,
me
I mean,
and you. Yeah,
like,
go ahead.
because in the case you're giving me, and I'll give two different cases. The first in which someone goes under anesthesia, they have no awareness, memories, consciousness for like a brief period of time, and then they regain all of those things. And then the second case, it kind of just seems like like all of the details would be the same, except you would be taking the brain out and then putting it back in. But it seems like aside from that, like descriptive difference, it seems like the two scenarios would be identical.
Yeah, so, well, the big difference is in your view, there's a stipulation that a brain would have to exist, right? For personhood.
A brain would have to exist for personhood?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the brain still exists. It's just temporarily taken out of the head. So it would be the same as if someone was temporarily asleep. Like it would just be a temporary lack of awareness, right? In either
No,
case.
no, because in the case of a comatose patient or somebody who's asleep, there's still psychological states. If I take the brain out of
Wait,
somebody for
no,
5,
like let's say someone's under anesthesia, then there is no mental life or psychological states.
that's what? Wait, so if there's no psychological states when I'm comatose or asleep,
Or I guess
that's what?
I guess like what do you mean by psychological states?
What? I mean, sentience, you would probably say technically some forms of higher rationale. I'm not really sure how you would classify that. I would just say that it's just experience, just an
Yeah.
experience,
So
or not.
right. So in either case, it seems like this would just be someone who's temporarily not aware or not conscious.
You don't
So
think?
like what would be the difference between the case you gave and the case of someone who's under anesthesia?
Yeah, because the person who's under anesthesia has psychological continuity. That's in virtue of your view. And the person who has psychological continuity, like if they're asleep, they can have dreams, they can have internal thoughts that they don't even know about.
Well, you can have
There's brain
psychological
activity.
continuity even if you're under anesthesia. Like psychological continuity doesn't imply that you have to be having like a subjective experience at all points of time.
Wait, say that last part one more time.
Like psychological continuity doesn't imply that you have to be like having like an awareness or an experience at all times. Otherwise, like people under anesthesia would not be persons, but that would be absurd.
So, okay, it doesn't have okay, the experiences don't have to occur at all times. So why wouldn't you apply the same moral value to a non-sentient fetus if you just stipulated that the experiences don't need to occur at all points in time?
Well, the fetus is not sentient. So there is no like it doesn't have that necessary condition of personhood.
Neither is the person whose brain was removed. In fact, you could make an argument neither was the person who's in a coma. Yet we
Right,
still
but
value these people.
yes, but we
Why?
value them in virtue of the fact that they had these experiences which constituted a personal identity.
Which constitute okay, what's a personal identity?
A sense of like who you are. I don't know how to reduce that any further.
Okay, so if I don't have a personal identity right now, am I morally valuable?
I mean, you're still a sentient being, right?
So, okay, it seems like a sufficient condition then, doesn't it?
No.
What? If it's not a sufficient condition? Wait, so it's a necessary condition for moral value, correct?
It's a necessary condition for being a person.
So if I don't have a sense of myself, I'm not a person?
Well, I said sentience is a necessary condition for personhood.
Well, you just said personal identity. Is personal identity a sufficient or necessary condition?
To what, personhood?
No, just to me. Like if I don't have personal identity, which is by your semantics a sense of self, if I don't have a sense of self, I wouldn't be morally valuable anymore. It's a necessary condition.
I mean, like in what scenario where like in what scenario would someone be sentient and not have a personal identity?
Yeah, I could just be awake and not know that I exist. There's the mirror test, I think you can perform on animals where they're aware, but they don't know they exist. And then they look in the mirror and like, oh, I exist. Before then, they don't necessarily understand that they do. So if they don't have a personal identity, which, just to be clear, is necessary for sentience.
No, sentience is necessary for a personal identity.
Sentience. So if I don't have a sense of self, I'm not sentient?
If you don't have sentience, you don't have a sense of self because there's no mind to conceive of a personal identity.
No, that's not what I asked.
I know, I'm just clarifying. Like, it's not that if you don't have a personal identity, you're not sentient. It's the other way around. If you're not sentient, by virtue of that, you wouldn't have a personal identity.
Okay, but again, the mirror test, like a monkey could exist and not know that they exist, yet they're awake.
Okay, well, I don't give moral consideration to monkeys.
So why would you give that to humans then? If they're awake and aware, but they don't know they exist. Why would you give it to humans and not monkeys?
Well, I think for the most part, we are aware that we exist. And I think what separates us from animals is the fact that we're able to have rational experiences. And I think that in order to have rational experiences or like a rational mind, you need to be sentient. So I think before this, it would be absurd to say that a fetus is a person because it doesn't have this.
What? Okay, so if it's the case, again, just going back to my reductio, if the brain is out of the skull, I don't have a rational experience. I don't have any recognition of anything currently happening. I especially don't have a mind, which would facilitate the sentience. But yet you're still saying I'm valuable because the psychological continuity would continue when the brain goes back in. But that would just say that I don't see how that would be different from a non-sentient fetus. And then you're saying, well, because there's past experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, and then I ask, well, why do past experiences matter? And then you say that matters because, well, it would just be what makes of personhood, and it would be valuable by definition, which just goes in a circle. Like, it doesn't tell me anything.
Wait, how does it go in a circle?
Yeah, because you're saying it's true by definition. I'm asking you, why would I accept that definition? Why would I accept that past sentience would make something valuable? Why would I accept?
I said that past sentience is required in order to have a personal identity. Okay. And then personal identity matters because the view seems to account for instances in which animalism cannot.
Okay. Time. I could add like a few more. I can add you to address this last point because then we'll have to end.
Yeah. So, look, I guess I'll end with this. Like, if it's the case that somebody doesn't have a sense of self, we can presuppose they have past sentience. We can presuppose that they had this whole life and then they wake up and they no longer have a sense that they exist, yet we can stipulate the other variables that are presupposed in existence or presupposed in sentience. If they don't have this sense of self, then are they valuable?
Yeah. I would
Okay.
say that the only necessary condition for personhood is sentience.
All right. All right, I'm gonna end it. We're gonna give 5 minutes. Good job, guys. Very calm, civil debate. Give each of you 5 minutes for closing. Then we'll have a Q&A. So, 3, 2, 1, go for your closing, Wolfgang.
Yeah, so, well, first off, before I say anything, I'd like to, once again, thank Bt3 for the cordial debate. It was awesome. I appreciate you engaging. To go into the critique, I think I laid out my conditions for flow pretty well. I laid out how flow was going to necessitate moral value, the capacity, and all that. I think my argument was fine. Bt3 did give some pretty decent contentions, and I think I answered them well in regards to, I actually kind of forgot what we were talking about earlier in regards to my contention, but he gave good contentions to me. I think I responded to them well. When I responded to him, I think he grounded that sentient or personhood was valuable by virtue of the definition. When I kind of poked further, with the reductio about the brain and it being removed for 5 minutes, I guess I didn't necessarily get a clear answer because the psychological continuity would technically not exist anymore in those 5 minutes, which seemed like a contradiction. And then toward the end, there seemed to be some talk about rational experiences, which seems like a bit of ad hoc, and I don't necessarily understand why that would entail value either. But yeah, overall, I really appreciated the conversation, and I'll concede my time.
All right, nice. And I'll give Bt3 his time to speak. In 3, 2, 1, go.
So yeah, I think overall it was a pretty good debate. Just to kind of summarize what happened from my perspective to the audience, I gave Wolfgang an instance in which, Wolfgang started out by saying that any deprivation of future experiences is immoral. I gave him a case in which there's a terminally ill hermit and he doesn't want to suffer. Wolfgang said that it would be permissible to take his life. So I feel like that in of itself is kind of a concession, because he's saying on the one hand that it's not permissible to deprive people of future experiences, but then in this case it would be okay. And the reason he said it would be okay is because the hermit gave the doctor consent to do so. So I simply gave him another instance in which I came up to him, I gave him consent to take my life, and he said that it would be wrong, but couldn't really explain the difference between the two scenarios. Really only pointed to what would be the descriptive differences in either scenario. He wasn't really able to answer that from my perspective. Carrying on to the sperm hypothetical, he said that the reason like the sperm would be different than the embryo is because there's a difference in the nature of being. So I outlined why that wouldn't really matter in a counterfactual sense in the way he's presenting it. And I feel like he wasn't really able to give a clear distinction as to why one entity would be deprived of a flow and why one would not. He then brought up that he was an animalist, which is on the one hand an ad hoc from his initial position, and on the other hand, the strict animal thesis I had him sign off for, and then gave him like the example of the conjoined twins. He denied that like a conjoined twins, that he denied that this would be one body, which I'm sure everyone on this panel or everyone watching would recognize that if like there's conjoined twins, there's just one body, but they share different body parts. That's just what a conjoined twin is. It's not two bodies, it's one. Um, as it pertains to his critique of my stance, it seems as though he was trying to argue from the perspective of where I would say something like, in order to be a person, you have to be presently actualizing a conscious or sentient experience, but that wasn't anything in what I stipulated. Uh, and so I feel like a lot of the conversation from like him and I was him kind of asking questions that I had already addressed, and not really being able to find holes in the argument. He also said that rational, um, the aspect of rationality, sorry, was an ad hoc, but it was something that I specifically speculated in my opening statement in saying that in order to be rational, um, you have to be sentient. But yeah, I mean, just to close things up, I think that it was a really great conversation. I want to thank everyone for coming out to watch it once again, and I want to thank Wolfgang for participating in the debate. It was a lot of fun. So, with that, I'll concede my time.
Nice.
God bless, bro. God bless.
All right, good job, guys. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna have the judges speak, and then we'll have a Q&A. So the first judge will be ladies first. Will be Misty going first.
Um, I wrote some notes down. Um, Wolf, I when he asked you why being robbed of life is wrong, I felt like you begged the question because you basically said, future robbing somebody of future experience is wrong. Um, when he asked you why is deprivational harm wrong, you gave a descriptive, not a prescriptive. Um, BT, I felt like you asserted personhood. Your definition of personhood begged the question. Um, you said the definition of personhood would be an individual with moral consideration. I was like, what the fuck? Um, when you talked about numeric identity, this would also apply to the embryo. I also felt like you gave the hypothetical between the hermit and yourself. Um, they weren't analogous because you were talking about you suffering from job loss, which would be a little subjective, where the hermit was, suffering from uh, physical lack of well being, which is objective. And, well, I can get into the rest later, but that's all I have to say.
All right, we'll go with. I will go. We'll go with Chase next.
Okay, as Misty did, I also wrote down notes. I do have a lot of notes that I did. The first two are just blunders that I needed to address. First, when Wolfgang said called us the judges mods, we're not mods, we're judges. So that was the first blunder, and the second blunder was from Bt3 mispronouncing marquee and saying, I forgot what it was, but it wasn't marquee. That was another blunder that I have to also bring up.
So that's the main two ones that I needed to bring up. Like those had to be mentioned, and then we go to. I sort of broke it down to when Wolfgang took affirmative, and then when Bt3 took the affirmative. So, as Misty did state, about the begging the question by assuming, because there's obviously other harm theoretics when it comes to things like, there's a frustration of interest, there's like a plethora of different things. So when you assert a view like, well, my harm theoretic is depriving an entity of a future like ours. Well, that's the harm theoretic, sure, but that's what's in question. Why should we accept this view over any other harm theoretic? Why is this view? And the blunder that Bt3 did with that is allowing Wolfgang to beg the question and not pressing him on that and just not asserting that. And then also a thing that I wanted, Mark West. Yeah, that's what he said. Mark West, not Marquis. And then Wolfgang, at least from what I heard, because I didn't remember, but I did get clarification, he did talk about either at face value or prima facie clause in his argument. It would have been great for him to sort of preface that when Bt3 was pressing him on the cases of the Hermit case, that when you add things like the prima facie clause, you're saying, well, at face value, the deprivation is wrong. So if there's cases like, the Hermit case, where there could be overriding considerations why the deprivation isn't harmful because there could be overriding considerations given the prima facie clause. And then also the Bt3 about not asking the argument for the fetus having capacities for experiences because, there's a plethora of people that would say that the capacities are next to the mind or the soul or something like that on why we should accept that the fetus has a sort of capacity. And then that's sort of the notes I had on that end. And then the notes that I had on when Bt3 took the affirmative, I guess the brain transplant reductio, I'm unclear on the reductio on that part. If it's the case, if we're talking about the standard case of the psychological profile, if it's not stipulated when taking the brain out, there is no break in psychology. This would just follow that the person still exists. So if you unalive the organism that the person is attached to, this would be obviously wrong given the psych view. But the only reason why that didn't get brought up or that wasn't, I guess, an issue is because Bt3, when he brought up the persistence of the psychological profile, he didn't mention anything about the psychology. He didn't mention anything about that, which sort of brought that reductio to sort of succeed because the persistence of the psychology wasn't brought up. So that's the main issue. And then Wolfgang obviously asking the question about objective definition. That could have, and then Bt3 sort of like trying to think about that. Obviously definitions are objective. It's the big 2026 we need to lock in. And also talking about the view should be talking about more permissibility, not more value. So that was another thing. And also the last thing, I guess, that I wanted to bring up is, I was trolling. Okay, so Wolfgang also not pressing about pressing more on the definition of personhood, because if he's defining personhood personhood is the status of having an outstanding moral worth, that lends credence to being a proposition to defend, because now he's asserting that there's some truth to that proposition that personhood is the status of having outstanding moral worth. Now that needs to be contended with. Why should we accept that this is what makes someone this is what makes personhood? So that would have been great to contend with, because it seemed like how Bt3 was defining personhood, it seemed like it was more of a proposition. So it would have been great to defend that proposition and ask why should we accept that to be personhood. And then Bt3 shifting, asking if Wolfgang is vegan. That was unnecessary. There was no point in that. But yeah, that's sort of basically it that I had to talk about when it comes to this. Interesting interlocutors. I had a great conversation.
All right, last person will be Genesis. You have the floor to give your opinion.
Yeah, so I don't want to make it sound like an echo chamber. Misty and oh my gosh, Chase, you guys covered pretty much all the notes that I had written down here. I took some detractors. It was funny because I also wrote down the error on Marquise or whatever you called him. Thought that was pretty interesting. But I did tally up the scores here, at least from My critique here. So, Wolf, I gave both you guys a 0 in rhetoric. I was kind of hoping that we'd get a little bit more rhetoric going on there, so maybe lock in a little bit more. The openings, I gave Bt3 a 10. Wolf, I gave you a 7. I thought you guys' openings were kind of weak, kind of thrown together. Not a lot of stuff going on there, at least on Wolfgang. Bt3, I did kind of appreciate you addressing your interlocutor as well. In your opening, though, that's why I kind of gave you a little bit more points. Wolf, I give you a 6 in substance. I think that you're kind of stonewalling quite a bit. A lot of begging the questions. And I don't think that you necessarily represented your position to the at least to the extent that I think that you are capable of having previous conversations with you. The closings, BT3, I give you about a 9 for substance. I think that you are getting better, but I think that you can still do a little bit better in representing your position. Like Chase had said, I think that you need to go more in depth about the psychology of the position, so you can help address the hypotheticals of the mind swap hypothetical. And then the closings, I gave you BT3 a 7, gave Wolfgang a 3. I think that BT3 was pretty much kind of spot on his assessment of the debate. However, I think, go back to substance. That's something I did want to bring up. I have a couple questions that I'll bring up during the question segment. But BT3, I think that you did spend a lot of time on questioning the valuable future premise. I think it's a good point to attack, but I think that it kind of took away time that you could have pressed the fourth premise, which I was kind of disappointed that you didn't really get into. And then we got closings, and then I just took some detractors off just based off the begging the questions. Wolfgang, you failed. I didn't feel like you addressed the twin hypothetical very well either, so I took some points off for that as well. And BT3, I took some points off for spending too much time on the valuable future. And then also mispronouncing good old Don there. So altogether, BT3, I gave you 21 out of 60. And then Wolf, I give you 11 out of 60. So.
All right, nice. Good job for both.
Can I do a couple more after? I have a couple more things I want to add.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
I just remembered, okay, in the premise 4 of Wolfgang's argument, it really didn't feel like it added anything, because if I remember correctly of the argument, it just was if an action is morally unjustified, then it's wrong. But there was something else that was added before that, but it was just mainly if X action is morally wrong, then it's unjustified. Well, it's just trivial. I will just say that it trivially follows if an action's unjustified, then it's wrong. They didn't really add much in that. And then, fuck, what else was I gonna say? Oh, the talk about the twins, the conjoined twins. Upon further research, conjoined twins are two separate organisms that are still fused. So they may seem like they are one body, but they are two bodies that are conjoined. So they're still two separate organisms. So yeah, if an action caused harm without sufficient moral reasoning or moral justification. So it would follow if an action is harmful and there's not sufficient action or reasons to justify it, then it's morally wrong. So that would have been great for BT3. Should have been pressed more than the other premises. Well, also the other ones too. But premise 4 should be also have been, because there's actions that aren't harmful, but we could say that there could be some extrinsic wrong makers, even if the harm maker isn't the deprivation. There could be other reasons why things are wrong. So that would have been good to be pressed on. And I forgot the last one I was gonna add, but that's basically all then.
Yeah,
I think Missy had a second.
yeah, and I just wanted to touch on when you gave the hypothetical of removing the mind, right? And he said, that like it would still be the same person. I think you should have pressed them on the numeric identity. And I think you also should have pressed him on having a past mind. I also think that you should have gave him a better fusion case where you split the mind in half and put it in two separate different people. Are you familiar with that, Wolf?
I'm not necessarily sure about that reductio, but
Yeah, that would
It's
have
like
been a reduction.
parfait.
Sorry. Yeah, so that would have been the reductio I would have given. And what else did I have written down here? And then I also think like Bt3, you need to give up this sperm and egg shit.
That's what I was gonna bring up. Oh my god. That's what I was gonna talk about.
Like
Oh my
this
god.
sperm
Okay.
and egg shit is really getting old, Bt3. Period.
That's what I was gonna bring up. The
well,
sperm and egg thing. Okay, so the reductio can land if there's not sufficient explanation to explain the distinguishing factor between the sperm and the egg, when they come together, and then the organism.
I
Now,
think I gave
it seemed
one.
like when Wolf was sort of explaining it, he said that he was talking about there's the capacities. That's what I remember when I was talking about the capacities part. What Bt3 should have pressed on was that, like, now that's being invoked that the fetus is a type of thing to have these capacities, and have him define, like, strictly define it, because I think what I heard it was mainly just like a sort of synonym for it rather than explicating further on the definition of a capacity. So then it can be furthermore interrogated to understand and sort of, I guess, relinquish some more information to sort of understand the concept more, then critique it that way. But it just seemed like there was a lack, or not a lack, but I guess a trivial definition that didn't really expand, or I guess give clarity on the word that's being used. So when that would have been good, but it seemed like when we're just describing that this has a capacity, but this doesn't. If there was a better explanation in capacity, I guess it would have been better, but it just didn't seem like there was a sufficient enough, I guess, explanation to relinquish any information from the definition or the word to sort of give any good critique, which is why I think the critique of the sperm and egg went bad. Not because of the fact that the sperm and egg reductio is a bad one, but just mainly the fact that the definition wasn't pressed on enough to sort of illustrate any contradiction. But I guess I think that might be all of them. The judges, I guess. I don't know if you're still there, Protect. Protect, did you just not become a person? Did Wolfgang take your mind out of your body?
Yeah.
But that's what I also want to talk about. Like, okay, if there's not a stipulation that if the stipulation of a persistence condition no longer exists when the mind is taken out, it just seems like under the psychological. Oh, you're still here. Okay, the psychological profile view, at least from how I understand it, from the minute reading that I've done, if there's a disconnect in the persistence, I mean, this person wouldn't be the same person anymore. They would be an annihilation of the psychological profile. So, under that, if that's true, all that's being done now is equalizing this coma or this person that you took the brain out to an early stage fetus that has never had a psychological profile. So, it would just trivially follow that unaliving this organism or thing, there would be nothing wrong with it. Because all that's been done is stipulated that, well, we have this organism we took the brain of and equalized this organism now to the same of a fetus prior to a psych state. So it would just follow that there would be nothing wrong with unaliving it. But if there is some sort of persistence that unaliving it, but if there is some sort of persistence longer exists. The person still exists. The brain is still there and exists if there's a persistence condition still existing. It's just that the brain or the mind is in a different location, but the mind still exists. So that if there's still a persistence condition, then the brain or the mind still exists. So it would still be wrong in virtue of the fact that the psychological profile still persists. But I think Bt3 didn't have, at least from what I listened in, didn't really have much of an explanation, or at least didn't expound on the psychological profile as much to sort of illustrate that more. But I guess, yeah, that's the last thing I wanted to say.
Sorry, my phone
And I'll just
crashed.
say, this really quick, and I could be wrong, so please correct me. Like when you said that the definition of personhood was the moral justification, like to the best of my knowledge, I don't think you use descriptors as moral justifications, if that makes sense.
My phone crashed. Sorry, guys.
God damn it, dude! Why'd your phone crash, bro?
No, do you mind rephrasing the question, Misty?
Okay, so when he basically asked you, like,
Mm-hmm.
why the mind was the type of thing that we should value, right?
Yeah.
And then you went on to give the definition of the mind as why we should value it, right? So he was asking you for a why, which was a prescriptive, and you gave him a descriptive. So we probably should stay away from using descriptors as moral justification.
Well, what was the descriptor?
Your definition of the mind, I have to look through my notes. Auntie is elevated.
I
Um,
think my reason was that everything that would constitute personhood in sort of a normative sense would be predicated by the mind.
no, you said based on your definition, and your definition was that it a person was an individual, right, that had moral status. I know
This
this
was
because like it's sort of like I was like, what the FUCK?
yeah, maybe there was some confusion when I mentioned the moral status thing. This was just in relation to why personhood would be morally relevant. This
Mm,
wasn't in reply to why I think a mind would constitute personhood.
that's not what I said.
Okay.
Okay, he asked you, right, why? Okay, personhood, right, was the type
Hmm.
of thing that was valuable. You gave the definition of personhood, okay, and that was a descriptive, not a prescriptive. Do you understand that?
Yeah, well, the prescriptive nature of personhood is within its like descriptiveness, if that makes sense. Like
No.
personhood descriptively refers to like moral value.
Okay, why would it prescriptively repeat that again really
Yeah,
quickly?
so the definition of personhood, what it means descriptively is just that like it refers to the moral status of something. Like it's just so in that sense, its descriptive definition is relating to its prescriptive qualities or powers, if that
Yeah,
makes
but that
sense.
still doesn't answer why, right? The personhood grants, moral status.
Yeah, and I kind of like I don't know if you remember, but I kind of touched on that a little bit when equating like us to like animals or trees and saying that like, generally we grant more moral value to persons versus non-persons.
Yeah, but if you're talking about animals, right, in a mind, right, you would have to grant the animal personhood.
Not necessarily, no.
So
Why would that?
animals don't have minds?
I mean, they don't have the same type of minds as us. Like, they don't have rational minds.
I
But that
know,
would just
but
be ad hoc.
exactly.
That's why I asked about rationality, just to be clear.
Yeah, I mean, would it be an ad hoc if that was kind of stipulated in my introduction?
Well,
I think then
guess
you
that
would
would be
be,
fair.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
I just realized Q&A. We don't want to start into another debate. If you want to debate
Yeah,
him,
yeah. Let's
yeah,
start with the Q&A, and maybe Misty, we can have this conversation another time if you want.
yeah. So if anybody wants to come up to the panel, make it your questions really quick. We're not having another debate.
I have like 3 questions for Wolfgang.
Okay.
Oh my god, I'm ready to go.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so the first question is like, if a potential future of value creates a person's right not to be unalived, let's say like if a 10-year-old is a potential voter, they don't have the present right to vote. Why should a potential person have the right to life then?
I mean, that's just like going back to their capacity of life or capacity of experience. Are you saying that a 10-year-old has the capacity to vote? That's
Sure.
interesting. I mean, they don't have the capacity, but like they're.
I mean,
Wait,
we could talk about it because I don't want to take up everyone's time, and I do have like 3 questions. But even if I grant flow, does that same like future grant it's a welfare right to the mother's body? If I need your kidney to have a future like ours, does or do I have a right to take it from you? If not, why
No.
does the fetus future override the mother's bodily autonomy?
So okay, well, no, because I didn't cause you to need my kidney. One, and then two. I mean, the flow would override the mother's bodily autonomy because it's a comparison of a life versus the quality of a life, which is not necessarily a fair comparison to make.
Interesting. Can you truly deprive something of a future if it currently lacks the capacity to have interest or desires? If if a being has never had a single thought or preference, does it have a sake that it cannot be harmed?
Does it have a sake? Is that what you said?
Yeah, like a sake that it can't be harmed.
Yeah, you still can't harm that thing. Yeah.
So you can truly deprive something of a future if it currently lacks the capacity to do so.
If it lacks the capacity, I mean, by your semantics, to, I mean, have, I mean, I don't know, conscious interests, then yeah. I mean,
Interesting. Okay.
All right. Any other Q&A questions? Anybody? Like I
I
said, make it
mean,
brief. Don't want it to be another debate.
I guess I can sort of ask, or more so, Wolfgang, are you familiar with the standard talk about flow? Because, okay, from what I know, from what I hear, at least when I hear people talk about it, and when I've sort of skimmed through the paper, it seems like flow doesn't talk. At least this could be, I guess, not more so a question, but more so something that I remembered. But it could also be led into a question. But Flo likes to talk about not the fact that the fetus has a potential to have these sort of things. So a lot of time when it was pressed about the potential, that was something that really I was like, it's not. Flo doesn't talk about that, but some people like to do it. But that's not typically how it's ran. But more so, the fetus is a type of thing to have that given the fact they are um, going to have those given inductive cases like you and I, the fetus, and have experiences, and we were once organisms and stuff like that. Is that sort of something that you were looking to talk about, or I guess I'm not sure if that was something that was brought up.
could you summarize your question? I'm sorry. Just like,
Yeah, is something like on your view that you like to talk about as the reason why the fetus is a type of thing to have experiences is because we have cases examples of us experience, like you and I, and then now we have the fetus. We were once organisms, and now that since we were organisms, we have reasons to believe that the fetus has a flow.
in virtue of the fetus being an organism.
Like fetus being of the same species, and then given the fact that we were once
Oh,
those.
species doesn't matter. Like I said, if going back to when Bt3 gave me the contraceptive reductio, if you have the nature of a being, which, and when I say being, any of like an animalistic nature, like I mean like a cow, a human, there's the faculties for flow that exist after their formation.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I mean, I guess I'll ask more about that, but that
Which is
would
why
go
a
into
sperm cell doesn't have one, because it's not a being. Right.
Yeah, well, that would be. I mean, I would see that as more you're describing as one is this and one is not. But I guess that sort of would have been better, at least for BT3 to sort of press on. But I guess yeah, that's all I had.
So is there going to be like a formal count off, or are we just going off of Genesis?
I have no idea. Any other questions? Anybody? I was surprised. Not that many questions. Anybody else want to come up? If not, I'm gonna end. Any other questions anyone has?
Well, did Mr. Man come up to ask a question?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I came up because you invited me. I just came into the live. I saw the invite. I just came up. I didn't realize you were in a formal debate and stuff. So
Yeah, it
Ah,
just ended. Yeah.
you're the GOAT, Mr. Man.
Yeah. Best debater on here.
I think we
Oh
need to
Somebody
have
has
no,
a
formal
question?
yeah.
debates. I think we need to have more formal debates not on abortion but on veganism, low key, for real.
I think this person named the Bait Brain has a question. Hopefully it's pretty quick. You can ask your question.
Yeah, yeah. First of all, hello, interlocutor. How are you? Yeah, I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second, I would like to know if anyone agrees that the fetus, before sentience, of course, does in fact belong, the body, of course, does belong to the mother, right? It is the mother's body, right?
no.
Yeah.
Holy troll, bro.
Yeah,
Wait,
I would
how
like
is
to say it's not a part of her body, yeah, but it is in fact a body that does in fact belong, yeah, to the mom.
Please stop with the Valley Girl accent. It's killing me.
is
Okay,
this
okay,
related?
I'm sorry.
Why are you like being
Jesus
upset? You know?
Christ.
Do you have
Okay,
an
we're just gonna
actual
move on from
question?
that. Anybody have questions about? Okay, we're just gonna move on for that. Anybody have
No,
actual
but why
questions?
isn't it the mom? Why doesn't the mom own the body?
Oh
Okay,
God,
all
bro.
right,
No one's asking the right
listen.
question.
Listen, if there was conjoined twins, right? And one of those conjoined twins in this hypothetical world, you can separate them or do whatever you need to for this particular set of conjoined twins. But one of the two brains stops functioning. So now there's only one sentient being in these conjoined twins. You would agree with me if I say that would be that one twin's body now, right? That is the sole owner of that body.
Who are you asking?
Anybody who wants to respond. Why did Chase leave? What the fuck, Chase?
I don't know. I mean, I'm pro-choice, so I feel like if anything, oh, actually, never mind. It looks like you're going to be dropped from the panel.
That's totally fair.
I don't know if
I would say
Wolfgang
no.
wanted to answer that.
All right, questions about the debaters, please. Like, what did you think? If you had any questions, ask them. If that's it, I'm just gonna end. It's gonna be on my YouTube channel. Protect the voiceless. It's gonna be the most recent videos. Obviously, gonna take like a day to
Wait,
upload.
what's your opinion? What do you think about it?
About
Who
that case.
won?
No, about the debate. Yeah.
I think it was good. I think you guys did very good. It was the best. The most important thing. I know a lot of people are gonna the pitchfork mouse and come after me. At least it was cordial. That's the best thing I
Yes.
can say. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Me and
I think it was.
BT3. Holy shit! Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think it was pretty much a tie
Yes.
Oh yeah.
because I heard like begging the question on both sides. Like I heard like there was more questions that you could have like I'm really disappointed BT3. I think you should have went with premise 4. Right? I think you spent more time on like questioning the future like hours. And also too, Wolf, I think like you should have pressed him on past sentience,
I did.
maybe
I asked him the question. What?
future.
Misty, can you unblock me?
I think this
No,
debate
I
was.
don't want to talk about fucking dinosaurs with you.
I think this debate was very evenly matched. I don't. There was no clear cut
Yeah, that's
winner.
what I think.
What? I mean,
Yeah, I'm not gonna have you on my panel trolling me about dinosaurs. No, thank you,
if I
BT3.
Do
had
they
to,
exist?
Well, look. I would have to rewatch it again. and to come up with a winner of my own, but I think you guys did very well. It was cordial.
Yeah.
I think Bt3 won. If me and Bt3 had to put in votes, I would vote for him as a winner, in my opinion.
Oh, well, I
I don't
appreciate
know.
that, dude.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that. And I appreciate Misty. I know we've had differences, but I appreciate you being unbiased on kind of a realer note.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys did very well.
And when you can stop talking about dinosaurs, you will be unblocked. Period.
Okay. I
Thank
won't
you
bring up.
for having me, Protect. I'm getting ready to dip, okay?
Yeah, I'm gonna end too. So like I said, you guys can unless there's no more questions to ask the debaters.
You want to send me the voice recording?
Who was in the debate?
It
It
was
was me and Wolfgang.
well, the voice recordings don't work for anybody. See, they always say they're unavailable, so I'm gonna post it on my YouTube channel.
All right.
It obviously has to, like I said, it has to upload. It's probably gonna take maybe like a few hours today, the latest, so you can rewatch it then.
Okay.
And then yeah. So I'm
Someone
gonna
else should go live so we can conversate.
yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Verse.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna end. Thanks everybody for joining, and thanks for Bt3 and Wolfgang for having a cordial debate, unlike the last one. So
Stitch.
yeah, well, I'll leave it at that.
Dodger.
All right, I'm gonna have to end.
Running.
All right, I'm gonna have to end. All right, so yeah, have a good night, everyone. Yeah.
Thanks again.
Later, guys.
Yeah.